At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, during today's appearance on the Pat McAfee Show, was asked about Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Namath's strong criticism of Zach Wilson. Rodgers replied, "There's been too much negativity over the last few weeks." He also urged Wilson to find a way to block out some of that noise. Rodgers then took his team to task for a few things he's observed.
I think we need to hold our poise a little bit better. Really just offensively, we need to not have some of those things happen on the sideline. And, there's been, I think, too many little side conversations, and we just need to grow up a little bit on offense and lock in and do our jobs, everybody, and not point fingers at each other, and it's everybody.
Aaron Rodgers. While Coach Robert Saleh has said they're sticking with Wilson this week, they will sign veteran free agent QB Trevor Siemian to the Jets practice squad. Giants running back Saquon Barkley is day-to-day with an ankle injury. He is not practicing today as the team begins on-field preparations for Monday night versus Seattle. Offensive lineman Andrew Thomas appears likely to return from a hamstring injury Monday. New York Liberty star Breonna Stewart named 2023 WNBA MVP.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, we start to look ahead to Week 4, which includes some huge divisional matchups. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. A little film review with Maddy Hudak in 15 minutes. Jermon Bushrod next hour. Sean Salisbury in hour 3. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
I want to get into what I think is going to be the most important matchup Saturday at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium with LSU and Ole Miss. But very quickly, I'm not going to go too deep dive into this, but just worth filing away. Of course, the Saints are getting ready to host the Bucs on Sunday. We know Derek Carr has a sprained AC joint. Hat tip to our guy Mike Triplett over at NewOrleans.football. He caught up with Drew Brees, who had, I believe it was, let me make sure I got the year right. I think it was 2014. I just want to make sure I have the year right. Brees had the same injury. It was 2014. Drew Brees had the same injury, sprained AC joint. And one of the things Brees told Mike Triplett at NewOrleans.football, and here's a direct quote from Drew Brees, "That was the one time in my career where I literally did not throw a ball all week and just showed up on game day and played." End quote. Drew Brees talking about his sprained AC joint back in 2014, which is the injury Derek Carr has. So I don't know that there's a great possibility of Derek Carr playing this weekend, but it's one of those things where, as I kind of understanding it, talking to some of our friends over at Brock, some orthopedists who deal with shoulder injuries, it's a pain tolerance type thing, and it's not like, well, Derek Carr is a wuss and he's not going to play. It's like, well, can you actually lift your arm and throw a football 20, 30 times in the game? So, and God help if you actually have a situation where he gets hit and re-injures it. So it's worth following. It is very likely, obviously, that Jameis Winston is going to play this week for the New Orleans Saints. But we'll continue to follow that as the week goes along, and hat tip there to Mike Triplett. So glad to have you aboard with us here. And we will get to film review with Maddy Hudak in about 10 minutes. Good enough to be with us here on Tuesdays to kind of go over some of what she saw going back through the film with a sort of a scout's eye and going through that film review. Like, can the offensive line get better? How good was Alontae Taylor on Sunday? What about Kendre Miller's debut? All that stuff. We'll get to that with Maddy here in about 10 minutes from right now. LSU is going to go play Ole Miss this weekend, and one of the least discussed, but maybe most relevant topics of the first month in the SEC is Quinshon Judkins. And what I mean is actually one of the greatest disappearing acts that we've seen so far in the first month of the Southeastern Conference. You all remember Quinshon Judkins, right? Quinshon Judkins, who a year ago was SEC Freshman of the Year. Quinshon Judkins, who a year ago was a first-team All-American, first-team All-SEC, who was on everybody's preseason All-American. This guy ran for 1,567 yards last year as a freshman and 16 touchdowns. Yes, that Quinshon Judkins. So far, through 4 games, Quinshon Judkins, if you've not been following at home, Quinshon Judkins has carried through 4 games 57 times for 201 yards. Y'all, he's averaging 3.5 yards a carry. And those 4 games, by the way, were against Mercer, Tulane, Georgia Tech, and Alabama. Quinshon Judkins was sensational a year ago. In the game against LSU, he ran for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. We got to see him as a true freshman be awesome. And so far in this season, through the first month, he has vanished. As a matter of fact, Jackson Dart is Ole Miss's leading rusher right now. Quinshon Judkins didn't forget how to be a great athlete and a great running back in this offseason. Ole Miss's offensive line just stinks. And there's a variety of reasons for that, but they cannot run block. And it doesn't matter if they're playing in Tuscaloosa against Alabama, if they're playing against Georgia Tech, if they're down at Ullman against Tulane, if they're at home against Mercer. It has not mattered who or where they play. They cannot run the football, which opens up an amazing opportunity for LSU. By the way, Lane Kiffin was asked on Monday about his team's struggles in the running game. Here's what he said.
Yeah, we got to get better. Got to coach better, involve different schemes, different things. We're just sometimes running game's interesting. You'll have these games, and all of a sudden they'll pop, and you have a bunch of explosive runs. So we just gotta all go to work and figure out a way. Not like we're a team or a program that hasn't ever ran the ball or hasn't known how to run the ball. So it'd be really good to get back to that.
It's true. He's right. That's been a cornerstone of Lane Kiffin's offense. We perceive him as this wide open spread slinging around guy, but he is a guy that historically, even in his time at Bama and his time so far at Ole Miss, that has great balance run and pass. They just have not been able to utilize the guy that's their best weapon in Quinshon Judkins. And now here comes LSU. And LSU defense, by the way, which we've talked about, is statistically not good. LSU is 11th in the SEC in total defense. LSU is 12th in the SEC in rush defense. LSU is 9th, oddly enough, in the SEC in pass defense. You'd probably think those are flipped, weren't you, considering the issues that LSU's had in the pass defense. But we have seen over the course of the first month of the season an evolution in LSU's front seven. We have seen a rotation develop. where it's not just Mekhi Wingo, Mason Smith. We have seen Jordan Jefferson really come along with Jacoby and Guillory. We've seen Paris Shand on the inside. We've seen a true rotation. At linebacker, obviously with Omar Spates out the last 2 weeks, we've seen Whit Weeks emerge alongside Greg Penn, who was inserted after the Florida State game, and Harold Perkins has gone back to his more natural spot. That LSU defensive front seven right now looks really good. By the way, Brian Kelly was asked about Jordan Jefferson, a guy who many people through a month think probably should be starting over Mason Smith, who still looks like he's hobbled by and limited by that injury. Here was BK on Jefferson.
He's twitchy. He's extremely strong. And we're going to look at him, playing a little bit more on the nose in our 3 down because, he can do a lot of things for us. So playing some nose, that kind of physicality and, what he can do for us in our 3 down front, I think he'll make a difference for us.
He is obviously a very strong, powerful interior player that gives you more of a rotation. We've seen that now allow LSU to put Harold Perkins back on the outside. By the way, here was Lane Kiffin on Monday, if you missed it. Remember, the Ole Miss game a year ago is when Harold Perkins emerged. It was after the LSU lost to Tennessee, and there was like, bleep it, put the kid on the outside, let him go kill the quarterback, rush the passer. Perkins was awesome. Kiffin said it after the game last year in Baton Rouge when he said, when did the game change? He said, when they put 40 on the field. Here was Kiffin on Monday.
I mean, I don't know if they've talked about it, but it looks like they tried to play him like a normal backer in week 1 and play him like a boundary wheel backer, and looks like they scratched that after the Florida State game and went back to last year's plan and put him out there and make a few calls with him, let him play. So I wish they'd put him back in there.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin sees it. Everybody sees it. It took 1 week for Harold Perkins to see it and go like, yeah, coach, put me back on the outside. Look, when you look statistically at these teams, you would think the inverse. By the way, LSU, 11th in the SEC in sacks. Ole Miss, 9th in sacks against. You wouldn't think that LSU's defensive front seven would have an advantage in this game, but it's one of those instances where the stats don't tell the whole story, because if you have watched Ole Miss play, you can tell very clearly there is an issue with that offensive line, their ability to protect their quarterback and open holes for their running back, and that creates a major opportunity for a deep, veteran, talented LSU defensive front seven. That is the key to this game for LSU. They have got to limit Quinshon Judkins the way the first 4 opponents have. They have got to make Jackson Dart just a passer to where Harold Perkins and Deshaun Womack and Braden Swinson and the rest of the rushers can just go pressure Jackson Dart and make his life miserable like they did a year ago in Baton Rouge after that fast start by Ole Miss. It's very simple. LSU's going to go score because LSU's elite offensively, and they're going to move the ball and score on everybody. The question is, can this defense, and this, in particular the defensive front seven, replicate the success Ole Miss's first 4 opponents have done? That is the biggest thing to watch Saturday when LSU goes to Oxford. All right, it's After Further Review. Show open every day brought to you by Bud Light. I am so fired up to tell you we got a great new promotion. The Saints are going to play the Jaguars on Thursday Night Football on October the 19th. Our promotion that we're going to do in conjunction with our friends over at Mockler is they are opening up the Slattery, which is their on-premise bar at Mockler, to a winner and 15 friends to watch the game, food, drinks, rides as well. On our friends at Mockler, they're going to take care of food, booze, rides for everybody, and go watch the game, hang out. I'll be doing AFR there that day, hang out for the game after. We're excited about it. So we're going to be telling you about how you can enter to win that great prize over these next several weeks. We'll take all the entries and we'll pick here in a few weeks for the winner. But excited about that. We're so thankful for our partnership with our friends over at Mockler and Bud Light. So drink easy in Tiger Stadium, in the Dome, Mumford Stadium, wherever you are watching ball this football season with Bud Light. All right, it's After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break. Maddy Hudak will join us for a little film review. Finally, after this, we'll get to put the Saints-Packers game to bed. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Pluckers. Hey, Tuesday, of course, every Tuesday, kids eat free. There's something every night of the week over at Pluckers. But Tuesdays, kids eat free at both locations, Nicholson, Bluebonnet. So adults, buy your entree, kids eat free. And, of course, also on Tuesday, it's sports trivia. So our guy, Hunt Palmer, host sports trivia at Pluckers on Nicholson. So I know school's back in. A lot of LSU students will be there, but you don't have to be an LSU student. It's open to anybody. Sports trivia at Pluckers on Nicholson, 8:30. So get on by. Get there early. Have some wings. Have a few cold beers. 8:30, Hunt will fire up sports trivia. Test your sports knowledge. The winner of every round gets a Pluckers gift card. Remember, also, every team gets to spin the prize wheel. So even if you don't win a round, you get to spin the prize wheel, win Pluckers gift cards, Amazon gift cards, other great prizes. You're looking for something fun to do tonight with the fellows or your entire crew. Ladies, of course, always welcome. It's Pluckers. Nicholson or Bluebonnet. Pluckers if you don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Of course, Sunshine is the official tractor of the New Orleans Saints as well. And might want to take a bulldozer to that game film from Lambeau Field on Sunday. But on Sunday. But our friend Maddy Hudak did the Lord's work and went back into that film one more time for us to give us a little film review, and good enough to join us now. Maddy, we appreciate it. How are you?
Like I said to you via text, I think I enjoyed watching the preseason special teams undrafted battle than a lot of that tape.
It was brutal. There's no way about offensively. It was terrible the whole way through, and to watch the collapse unfold was tough to watch. But I'm curious, as we come out of that game, Maddy, everybody has been talking about the offensive line. We're going to talk to Jermon Bushrod in an hour from right now about moving forward. But as you look back, Was there anything at all, any silver lining, anything that looked good at all coming out of that film from the offensive line?
Well, now that I know that I am preceding Terran Armstead, I'm sure my analysis will really not pale in comparison. The only thing I would say that was positive that stuck out is, to me, the sore spot has not been Trevor Penning, and I think that that's at least something to be said about his development and kind of having a little bit of a sluggish start to the preseason. I feel like, of all people, he's kind of stepped up and had a stronger start to this game, whereas I was really surprised at how across the board everyone just failed to execute on several assignments.
Well, that's actually very encouraging, considering the draft capital you invested in Penning. You hope he continues to improve. We also saw, obviously, a shift when Cesar Ruiz went out. We saw Hurst go to right guard, and we saw Pete go in at left. Was there anything noticeable there, Maddy, as far as do you notice if Hurst is better on one side as opposed to the other? How Pete played at left as opposed to how Hurst has been playing at left? Anything there?
I will say this. I completely blipped on the fact that happened in the game. And one of the things I was going to say was I felt like the line got better towards the end of the game. So all of that to say, if that's kind of the switch that happened, I feel like James Hurst has been struggling at left guard. And as much as Andres Pete gets a lot of flack, he ultimately has been a starter for the Saints at that left guard role for several seasons now. And this is really the first season that they've just rolled out the gate and he hasn't had the starting job. And so I think that, on top of kind of having the rawness in Trevor Penning, and then Eric McCoy just continuously has someone new on either side of him to communicate with and try to get something going. And I thought that was one of Ryan Ramchik's least strong games, at least in terms of a lot of plays, just kind of getting past him. But then you saw them bring in an extra O lineman on one side of the line, and it's just not really making that much of a difference. So honestly, you might as well try moving people around at this point, because it just does not seem to be working. Like, I just went back and looked at the average of Andy Dalton's time under center when he was on the team, and he had 61 pressures in 14 games, and that was average 4.3 per game, 1.79 sacks. And through 3 games, Derek Carr is averaging 7.67 pressures and over 3.5 sacks a game. I mean, he's been sacked 4 times every single game, having 11 hits, or there was 4 sacks. One of them was on Winston, but 11 sacks on Derek Carr, 6 hits and 6 hurries in 3 games. That's really hard to get going. And you're kind of looking at that injury like it could have been a lot worse based on some of the sacks that they've allowed.
Maddy, you said Dalton had an average of 4.3 pressures per game, and Carr has had what?
7.67.
Oh my God.
And is getting sacked 2 more times a game on average. And like you said before, it's encouraging with Trevor Penning because of that capital, but he's not the only one that they've invested quite a bit of capital in at this point. You're seeing it sort of pay off in the trenches in Brian Brzee, but there just seems like there has not been that kind of, it just doesn't seem like they're working at all as a unit. And what I also noticed was the get off was really slow. They just seem really off and delayed. There were several plays where it looked like the defensive line had a quicker get off when the ball was snapped, and that just, you can't have flat-footed O-linemen.
Maddy, did the offense change at all when Jameis went in the game?
That was what I was going to say, was I feel like the line got better for him. And so it was kind of unfair to everyone involved to try to analyze that. I would say that he just looks so much more composed in general, everything else aside, than he has coming in as a starter the last 2 seasons. And he started off kind of handing off the ball, but it just seemed like he was able to get the ball out quicker than usual. And part of me wonders, the amount of times Derek Carr gets sacked during games, that probably starts to hurt at a certain point. You almost kind of wonder, what was going on when those injuries happen. Just working, in sideline reporting, I know that a lot of things can just kind of build up. And you could tell how off Jameis Winston was when he was unhealthy last year. He was also throwing quite a bit more, but he definitely had time to throw a little bit. It just seemed like he's a lot better at executing the offensive system, but it didn't really seem like, besides some kind of shallow routes that he just seemed to hit, because Derek Carr threw a few of those and they were just either incomplete or just not really getting there. But I thought that he passed the ball a lot better than we're used to seeing with him. But he also got sacked on a play with an extra offensive lineman in there. So it's tough. But I'd say that was probably one of the better halves for Jameis Winston that I can remember.
Okay. Maddy Hudak is with us on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. You'll give her a follow there on Twitter. We do a film review here on Tuesdays after Saints games. One more on the offensive side. It was Kendre Miller's debut. What did you notice?
It's another thing where I hate to say it all keeps going back to the O-line, but you did see on those kind of plays where he would kick it outside and do those outside zone runs where he has the vision and the speed to be able to do so. But it just seems like every time a running back tries to go in between the tackles right now for the Saints, the hole just isn't there. That was a few plays where I noticed that, Ryan Ramczyk kind of had a tough rep here and there. And so it was hard to really judge that. And it just kind of felt like they were putting a lot of the load on Miller, and you just keep thinking about the fact that one of the questions you asked last week was, should the Saints have thought about trading for a running back? So it doesn't really matter now because you have Alvin Kamara coming back, and I think that solves a lot of things, but it just seemed very one-dimensional every game because they're just kind of using one running back primarily in the same box. I will say I thought that Tony Jones Jr. had a decent follow-up to his last game, and they almost used him more in the way that you would think they would use Kendre Miller. He had several passes just kind of out in the flat. And I know they did that a few times with Kendre Miller. I thought it was promising. I think that room gets a lot better with Alvin Kamara back there, but all of them need an offensive line to be able to really get anywhere.
Speaking of players coming back, we'll find out about Paulson Adebo this week, but Alontae Taylor, Maddy, Alontae Taylor was like, for 3 quarters, the bright spot. Then, the whole defense, it seemed, fell apart in the fourth quarter. But with Taylor and Yadam there, mixing the way they did in the secondary, when you went back and looked at it, was Alontae Taylor's day as good as it appeared watching it real time on Sunday?
I think it was a little mixed, and I think what you're seeing a lot of that effect is I just keep thinking about the fact that Alontae Taylor is such a good cornerback, and you saw how good he was at using the sideline as leverage and really being able to press and lock down receivers using that leverage of the sideline. And you almost see him try to start doing that in the slot, but that's not, the sideline's quite a little bit away. And I've noticed that he's just in a lot more off coverage by design of the fact of the slot role, whereas I think he excels a lot more in that press coverage role. I thought Isaac Yadam, is it Yadam?
Yadam, yeah.
That's okay. I thought he struggled
that's how they
a
were
little
saying
bit.
That's how they were saying on the broadcast. That's what I'm going with. Yadam. If someone,
I'm going with
Yadam, go Yadam. I don't know. We got him, Yadam. I don't know. If someone corrects me, I'll stand corrected gladly. As someone who's had his last name mispronounced his entire life. If someone knows how to pronounce it, I'm saying it wrong, let me know.
Please do. I would say he struggled a little bit in the press coverage that I saw him in, but it felt like, again, there was just a lot on his plate. And that's where I kind of think back to the Bradley Roby trade. I hate to bring that up, but that was a game where I really felt like Alontae Taylor should move to the cornerback slot. Then you have Bradley Roby in the slot. Instead, you have someone that I think is still trying to get the sense of spatial awareness and the field and the way that you have to be able to use boundary, not in the same way that you do as a cornerback at that slot role. And while he's kind of going through that, there just happened to be a lot of plays where he was lined up on the same side as Yadam. And those crossing routes always tend to kind of get Saints defensive backs, or even a few of those crossing routes that Marshawn Lattimore kind of allowed. So I thought Alontae Taylor showed improvement from the last couple of games, and that's really important to note, considering this is his 3rd game as a slot corner when he hasn't really, and he didn't feel like they developed that position as much as you saw them pay that attention to last training camp, which is why the Roby trade felt a little surprising. But I just think it was a little bit of the player next to him trying to kind of grow into the role that he has, but still not as bad as, again, it could have been considering the inexperience between them.
She is Maddy Hudak. Hey, do you want to give this game its last rites? Anything else that you'd like to say before we bury it for good and never talk about it again?
Good to see Jimmy Graham in the red zone on that very simple touchdown. Simply keep doing that. And Chris Olave, I looked at his numbers, and he's outpacing Michael Thomas's performance through his first 3 games his sophomore season. It just sticks out to me how critical Chris Olave has been throughout these first 3 games. As much as we talk about them missing on the trenches, they really hit on him as a skill player in the first.
She is Maddy Hudak on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. By the way, every week when you come on, Maddy, I get people who text me or email me that are very disappointed to learn your name is not Maddy Hudat. But no, it's not Maddy Hudat. It is Maddy Hudak, Hudak. So you can give her a follow on Twitter or on X. Maddy, we appreciate it. Thanks. We'll talk next week.
Thank you. Everyone can take their issues up with the slow box for that name. So take care.
Be well. That is Maddy Hudak. This is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. If you need tires, Get the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. Name brand tires at wholesale prices. That's Shawbills. With 18 locations across South Louisiana. I love telling the story because Mr. Charlie opened up Shawbills in Morgan City back in 1968. Now, more than 50 years later, they expanded north toward Baton Rouge. They're in Lake Charles. Lake Charles. They're in Livingston Parish in Denham Springs. They're in West Baton Rouge and Port Allen toward Lafayette and Youngsville. You can find the location nearest you. You can schedule service online. You can buy tires, shop tires online. They're going to treat you like family. I told you a couple weeks ago I had a slow leak in one of my tires. It was a Friday. I pulled in Shawbills, went right in, handed them the key. Within literally less than 30 minutes, it was probably closer to 20 minutes, I was out. They had repaired my tire. There was a little piece of metal that was stuck in it. Got it out, patched it. I was on my way. No charge because they will repair your tires for free. It's Shawbills. They're just going to treat you great. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills. We keep you rolling. All right, y'all. Glad to have you aboard with us. We got a ton to do. As we mentioned there with Maddy, we do have Jermon Bushrod 1 hour from right now. And I'm excited to talk to Bushrod because if you don't remember, Bushrod was a mid-round pick out of Towson, so a small school guy, kind of like Trevor Penning. But he got 2 years to be a backup. For 2 years, he was a backup and was sort of the extra lineman, played sparingly. And then his third year, 2009, the Super Bowl year, is when he was inserted as the starting left tackle, and he became a franchise left tackle for this team. And then, of course, went to Chicago, Miami, back to New Orleans. So, in many respects, Bushrod can relate to what Trevor Penning is going through right now in that learning curve. So, I'm excited to have Jermon join us. He'll be here 1 hour from right now. And then Sean Salisbury in hour number 3. Of course, we talk a ton of quarterback play with Sean, NFL and college, but really, we got to talk about, first of all, the AC joint injury to Derek Carr, what it's like playing with that, what's a realistic timetable to get him back, how effective he can be when he comes back, what can we realistically expect from Jameis? Should the Saints add another quarterback? Like, do you go into a game week with Jameis and then Taysom in his jack-of-all-trades role? There's a lot to unpack there, and we'll do it with Sean Salisbury in hour 3. So, we got a ton to do. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. Come back. We'll go around the SEC. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured and it's not your fault, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888. It's all 8s. 888-8888. I don't even need to give you the area code because no matter where you are in the state, it doesn't matter. Just dial 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon does an awesome job, man. He's a great person. They've been so invested in our communities with all the charitable and service work that they do. They give back into the communities that they represent, no matter what time of year. If it's the bike giveaway for kids around Christmas time, if it's the laptop giveaway around back to school time, if it's the charitable work they do during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're always involved in the community. We tell you all the time, of course, about the G team and what Gordon's done with NIL and the opportunities that he's afforded student athletes. Just a great, great community partner. If you've been injured, you need representation, go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Glad you're rolling along with us here on this Tuesday. Of course, we appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. If you see a deer in South Louisiana from Alexandria below, basically Bunkie and below, you know they got it at Sunshine. 17 locations, the official tractor of the New Orleans Saints, the official equipment dealer of LSU Athletics. It is Sunshine. You can learn more at sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Normally, right here is when we do Around the SEC, but in lieu of Around the SEC today, I wanted to take a quick second and talk about something else that is related to the Southeastern Conference, but I thought it was worth just taking a quick minute playing this. So, of course, Arkansas lost to LSU on Saturday. Sam Pittman, like every coach, had his media availability on Monday, and he was asked about an interaction that he had with their punter, who had a rough game and was taking a lot of criticism on social media. And I wanted to play this for you. It runs about 2 minutes, which I know is very long, but I think it's engaging. And Sam Pittman's funny and lovable, and I think his message is great. And I want to play this and then come back on the other side and talk about it. So here was Sam Pittman, again, with that interaction with this player.
Mental health is a big, big deal. We talk about it. We have several guys that are in counseling. We encourage it. Fletcher was at practice on Monday. He's lower and low. And I walked by him. I become that counselor at times. And I walked by him. I said, "Hey, Max, what's wrong with you?" Social media. I said, I ain't gonna tell you everything I said, but I said, what are they saying, man? Went to Australia to get a 10-yard punter and, all this kind of stuff. Why'd you go all that way to get a guy that can't kick, all that? And I said, Max, they didn't say I'm fat on there, did they? He said, yes, sir. I said, what about my chest? Did they say anything about that? He started smiling then. He said, yes, sir. And I said, was I supposed to get fired on Sunday? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, I'm still here. They got 2 out of 3 right, And and then I think a big part of him is, he punted once for 53 yards and then he did the fake, and I was really happy for him. But to answer your question, there's we talk about a lot of things, and one of them happens to be mental health, that we need to help these kids. There's a lot more going on in their life right now than possibly when I was a kid, and I think a lot of it has to do with this, There's a lot of good about this, but there's also, if you go the wrong direction with it, it can spoil your day or whatever. So,
I thought that was 2 minutes well spent. And primarily the reason I wanted to play it, first of all, is just a salute to Sam Pittman, because a lot of times when you see people in the public light, people who are public figures, it can be tough to discern what is real and what isn't. You know, who's putting on a show, who is sincerely and authentically themselves. Sam Pittman is that guy, right? And it's very obvious he is that guy. It's funny, he's being self-deprecating about his weight and his chest. He's a big guy, and you know, there's a lot of man boob jokes. Let's put it to you that way with Sam Pittman. But every interaction you've ever had with Sam Pittman, he's been good enough to come on this show. When he got the job, he's come on with us at SEC Media Day. So I've had some interactions with Sam Pittman, and he is just as good and as genuine as he was in that clip, or as he is seemingly to his players. And you can understand why people like. Now, I don't know if that means he's going to be a wildly successful head coach, but sometimes great people aren't always great coaches, and vice versa. But that's neither here nor there. He's the thing that matters at a far greater level is that he's a good person, and clearly he is. But I really wanted to play that because it gave me an opportunity to say this, which is sometimes I get asked, you know, why it seems like I'm harder on like the Saints than on LSU. And I do get asked that, or I get criticized or whatever. And the story he told there was a big reason why. And in this job, over the course of 20 years, one thing that I can say unequivocally is that no matter how large physically those people are on the floor or the court, the field, the diamond, whatever, when you're away from that and you interact with them and you see them face to face, you realize they're still kids. And I know a lot of people scoff at that. And you say, well, they're on scholarship and they get NIL, and I get it. But they're still 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old people. And it's very easy, I think, if you really take some time to do it, put yourself in the mindset of what you were like at that age. And you realize they have a lot of growing up to do. And most of the guys that play college football or college sports and gals are never going to make it professionally. Even if you're a scholarship player at LSU, you're not going to make it professionally. So it's I always do my best not to criticize student athletes. Sometimes you have to talk about plays in a game. For example, even Brian Kelly at his press conference, he talked about the play where Zy Alexander left the receiver and came up to try to attack KJ Jefferson, hit him for 59 yards over the top. Well, you got to talk about that play. And yes, Zy Alexander made a mistake. But I'm not going to come on here and crap on Zy Alexander, demand he lose his job and his scholarship. Like, there's a different way to handle things sometimes. And yes, that context, in my opinion, does matter. And so I do challenge you. I'm challenging you. If you're an adult human listening to me right now, to be cautious and to be conscious of that whenever you tweet or post on Facebook or in our YouTube chat or anywhere. Understand who and what it is you're talking about, because it matters. I'm not going to sit here and say it's just a game, okay? Like, that's one thing that's infuriating. It doesn't matter, it's just a game. No, it matters a lot. A lot of people are emotionally and financially and physically invested in the results of these games. So I'm not telling you don't care. I'm not telling you don't be emotional. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is sometimes just have some perspective on who it is playing those games. And they're not trying to do awful. They're not trying to make mistakes. And the things that you say and do can affect them. No matter how much a coach may say, block out the noise, this or that, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, yes, there are times where those things influence young people. So, I'm in the opinion media, and doing this job for people ask, like, what's the worst part of your job? The worst part about being in the opinion media is giving opinions, because no matter what your opinion is, 100% of the time, people are going to disagree with you. Not everybody, but it is like, I give this example sometimes, the Beatles. Like, there are people that don't like the Beatles. The greatest band of all time, there are people that don't like the Beatles. It is impossible to have everybody like you and everybody agree with everything you say. So over time, in doing this job, like, it is so easy for me to just ignore you Not you, but you know what I mean. Like if so, go look at my Twitter mentions. Go look. It just doesn't matter. But so many people don't see the good things, and you only hear the bad. It's like the person at the restaurant. You never call the manager over to say, I just want to let you know the service was fantastic. The food was prepared to perfection. I'm going to tell everybody I know how awesome this place is. You're going to call the manager over to say, service is slow and my food is cold. You call it a complaint. I mean, that's human nature. So I only say this. Look, I'm not sitting here trying to like 3:45 on a Tuesday in the middle of football season to step on a soapbox and preach to you. But there was an opportunity that presented because of what Sam Pittman said, and I figured, what the hell? I'll take 5 minutes and talk about it. So hopefully those words resonate with some people, and some of you will probably just go crap on me on Twitter, and that's totally fine. I'm good with it. In any event. So salute to Sam Pittman. Job well done. All right. Around the SEC brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Okay. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. Wrap up hour number 1. Monday Night Football last night. Saints got a little help. Do I keep going or what now? What? Okay. You're going to do the stab again later? Okay. I hope our affiliates didn't leave. We'll do a Monday Night Football recap. Saints got some help with the Bucs losing. Feinswog next hour in about 30 minutes from right now. We will talk to Jermon Bushrod next hour as well. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
There we go. We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Say it every day. Rouse's, this feels like home. Hey, look. Rouse's, since the time they first opened as a produce stand 100 years ago, they've been helping you make groceries as Rouse's Markets for 60 years now. I love the family story of Rouse's. They've continued to grow with 60 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. I always encourage you, download that Rouse's app. Download the Rouse's app. Remember, they got delivery and curbside pickup options. The curbside pickup, your personal shopper that we talk about, it's easy. Download the app, select your items. Your personal shopper will go do the work for you. You pull up in one of the designated spaces. They'll bring it out to your car. If your order is more than $35, no charge for the service. And if your order is more than $100, use the code SAINTS20, SAINTS20, and they'll take $20 off your order. It's at Rouse's. This feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Just got into a little tempo. Mike made a couple really good plays. I mean, an incredible catch right there. But yeah, just taking advantage of numbers and playing fast. And, you know, unfortunately, we screwed ourselves. So we were too far behind at that point. Just got to be better early on. And yeah, 2 turnovers right there back to back are gonna kill us. So that's not good.
Baker Mayfield, after the Bucs lose at home to the Eagles 25-11. So with that loss, the Bucs, Saints, Falcons all lose. Panthers, of course, are 0-3. So even though the Saints grabbed the throat up in Green Bay, they're still tied for the division lead, and they welcome in the Bucs on Sunday. So that was the first of the doubleheader games. The Eagles did the Saints a favor. And then Joey B and the Bengals got off the schneid. They got their first win of the season. Here was Burrow after the game on his calf.
I feel good. We didn't have any setbacks today, but still day to day. You know, I've learned through this process that you can have one at any time. So it was good to get through this one, and that means it'll be stronger for this week. So hopefully I can have a full week of practice to prepare for next week.
19-16, the Bengals beat the Rams. Of course, one of Otterlock's last night was Rams +3, so we push on that one. But nonetheless, Joe Burrow and the Bengals get breakthrough and get their first win of the season there on Monday Night Football. So I know there's a lot of people that cheer for the Bengals around here with Burrow and Chase. The other thing that's just gag-worthy is Trey Hendrickson had 3 sacks in the ball game. And on the show text line, I got asked by someone if I could examine Marcus Davenport and Trey Hendrickson's time in New Orleans, and I was like, there's no need to. I mean, Davenport, when he was on the field, was productive. He was rarely on the field. They missed. Period. They missed. Hendrickson had a great season and got broke off by the Bengals, and the Saints weren't going to afford him in a bidding war. So he went to Cincinnati. They missed. There's no other way to say it. They let him get away. And so with Carl Granderson, they tried to sort of not repeat that mistake twice by paying him now instead of waiting for him to have a 15-sack season this year, going into free agency and having someone outbid them again. So they're betting on the come a little bit there with Carl Granderson. But, yeah, no, I mean, they flatly missed on Trey Hendrickson. There's no other way to say it. But hopefully Carl Granderson continues to play at and supersedes and exceeds that level to be the complement to Cam Jordan that the Saints tried to draft with Davenport, with Peyton Turner. They've yet to find it. With Isaiah Foskey, we'll see. Maybe Granderson is ultimately going to end up being that guy. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Brought to you by Michelli. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. With 31 different offices across 11 different states, it's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. ISO 17025 accreditation is available, so if you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products you use to weigh and measure. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Of course, they got their track system as well. 24/7, 365 access to all of your calibration certificates. That's at Michelli Weighing and Measurement. 76 years. 76 years in business, still locally owned and operated. And if you're looking for a career instead of a job, get to the careers tab, especially if you're a veteran. They're a great part of the DoD Bridge program, the Department of Defense Bridge program, which helps both active duty and retired military as they get back into civilian life, get jobs, and Michelle's a great partner there. So Michelli.com for Michelli Weighing and Measurement. The Jets are set to sign veteran quarterback Trevor Siemian, of course, former Saint quarterback Trevor Siemian, as a backup for Zach Wilson. There's been a big conversation about whether or not the Saints should go try to add a quarterback. We'll see for how long Derek Carr might be out. Jameis Winston's going to be your starter, but the real issue with Jake Hayner's suspension is you don't have a backup right now. Yes, you have Taysom Hill, but remember, if Taysom Hill spends the week as Taysom Hill, as a receiver or as a tight end and a running back and a special teamer and all that sort of stuff, he's not getting reps at quarterback. So if your game plan involves Taysom Hill in that role, then if there's, God forbid, something happens to Jameis, then you move Taysom into the quarterback role. Now you've eliminated his role from the rest of the offense, which is why, if you remember when Breeze got hurt back in 2020, the game he got hurt in L.A. against the Rams, no, that was the Bridgewater year. The following year, in 2020, was when Winston replaced Breeze, but the following week Taysom started because he had the full week to get ready. So it's a little complicated. We'll see if the Saints do add a quarterback anywhere for depth going into this week. It's a very unenviable situation. Okay, Sports Center, then hour 2 next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. You want to look and feel like your younger self, they can help at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. You know, I would often say a simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. But so often that blood test is so much more than just that. For example, maybe they'll find elevated cholesterol levels or something else that could be an indicator of a bigger problem. Not to say that that happens often, but if it does, like, you want to find those things so you can be properly treated. And sometimes medical grade supplements are a great way to do that. For me, fish oils, Coratin, some other medical grade supplements are great for me as I had some naturally elevated cholesterol levels that we've helped get in check. Maybe it's hormone replacement therapy, help you feel like your younger self again. Learn more online at theantiagingclinics.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Hours after a WBRZ investigative unit report, a justice of the peace abruptly resigned from office. It comes as the WBRZ investigative unit was looking into more allegations of impropriety by Justice of the Peace Randy Guidros. Guidros also has been seen having a cozy relationship with a state representative. Hear what he had to say. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha fall in the air, fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers seemed to directly address his team's locker room during today's appearance on the Pat McAfee show. He said the Jets need to lock in, do their job, and don't point fingers. He added he doesn't like the side stuff, referring to some of the heated sideline conversations that took place Sunday. He also said he continues to make progress with his Achilles injury. The Jets, under pressure to address their quarterback situation, will sign veteran Trevor Siemian to their practice squad, according to ESPN. Move comes after another rough performance from Zach Wilson, who has gotten a vote of confidence from Coach Robert Saleh. ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday.
Look, Zach Wilson's going out doing his absolute best. If they have an option or a move that they could make, they'll make it. If they don't feel like it, he has to sell it to his locker room the way he is. Zach Wilson gives us the best chance to win. I understand it upsets fans.
Jeff Saturday on Carlin versus Joe Wilson, slated to start Sunday night against the Chiefs. Giants running back Saquon Barkley, ankle injury, day-to-day. New York Liberty star Breonna Stewart named 2023 WNBA MVP.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming on Wednesday, we start to look ahead to Week 4, which includes some huge divisional matchups. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser,
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Feinswog in about 15 minutes. Jermon Bushrod, bottom of this hour, former Saint. Want to talk about how do you fix this offensive line, or can you fix this offensive line? That's coming up at Sean Salisbury 1 hour from right now. A couple of college football topics I want to hit on right here. If you missed the open of the show today, I talked to Smidge about what I think is the most important matchup in Saturday's game with LSU and Ole Miss. That's LSU's defensive front seven continuing to suffocate an Ole Miss running game, which has struggled so mightily to get going early in this season. You can catch that on demand if you missed it. Of course, AFR on demand, presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org. Number one, Ross Dellinger and others, the national college football reporters, have this, but they're in Chicago, where college football playoff leaders are beginning 2 days of meetings to focus on a potential change to the college football playoff model, which is set to start next year. You know, next year, college football playoff will be 12 teams. The model that has been agreed upon is a 6+6 12-team format. The top 6 conference champions and 6 at-large teams. The reason that this is relevant, of course, there ain't going to be 5 Power 5s anymore. The point was Power 5 the 5 Power 5 champions, the highest ranked group of 5 champion makes 6, and then the next 6 highest ranked teams, regardless of conference affiliation, that's your 12. Well, there ain't a Power 5 anymore, or there's not going to be after this year. The Pac-12 is going away. So are we to assume that you're going to have 4 Power Conference champions and 2 G5 or G6, whatever they're going to be called now, champions in the playoff? And then your 6 at large? Keep in mind, in order to change the format, there has to be a unanimous vote. So if they wanted to go to 5 plus 7, meaning 5 champions, your Power 4, and then 1 G5 as we know it now champion, and 7 at large, you would have to have a unanimous vote from the 10 commissioners and Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick. Well, Mike Oresco from the American has gone on the record saying he doesn't want to change. Naturally, why would he? This gives his league a greater shot of having representation. So, in any event, it's a situation where the big boys might have terms dictated to them because of one lone little guy dissenter. It will follow. But, I mean, just consider this scenario. Last year, it was the first time the Conference USA champion was ranked in the final AP Top 25 before the bowl games. Since 2011, by the way. So you had Tulane from the American and UTSA from Conference USA. If, as it's currently formatted, for next year, with 6 conference champions and 6 at large, that means if last year were next year, if this makes sense, Tulane and UTSA would have been in the college football playoff. In what world does that make sense? I get it. Tulane had a great season. They beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. Respect. Tulane and is anyone even going to try to remotely argue that UTSA deserves a playoff spot? It's patently absurd, and that's the first time that it happened since 2011. More likely what will happen is you will have an unranked G5 conference champion make the playoff next year. I mean, just file one away, see what happens over the next 2 days. But I don't know how any rational thinking human can look at that. If you're trying to get together the best, fairest, most equitable postseason format to get the 12 teams that are the best, most deserving teams into that playoff, and a scenario like that where 2 G5 champions are going to get in, which basically means you're going to have some 10-2, 9-3 team ranked in the top 10 in the country left out for a team like UTSA. Like, that's going to happen next year, unfortunately. We'll follow it. All right, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Traction. I got updated Heisman odds. Give me just 1 second. I want to compare Jaden Daniels, where he is through 4 games, to where the reigning Heisman Trophy winner was through 4 games a year ago. I'll get to that in just a moment. TractionSports.com. Maybe you want your son or daughter to be a Heisman Trophy winner one day. Okay, that might be a little bit excessive. But our friends over at Traction can help. Your son or daughter wants to be the best in their sport for whatever that may be. If that's maybe going from the JV to a varsity starter, if that's maybe getting that college scholarship, Traction can help. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, a world-class facility with world-class training right here in Baton Rouge. It's incredible when you see that elite athletes, professional athletes in all sports from all over the country come to Traction in their off seasons to train, because you're talking about the best trainers, the best facility, the best rehab facility there at Traction Elite Physical Therapy. They have it all. It's right there in Burbank. TractionSports.com. TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. Our friends at DraftKings have updated the latest Heisman odds 4 weeks into the season. I guess 5 if you include week 0, but after week 4. And Caleb Williams now has company atop the odds. Michael Penix from Washington and this has actually changed since earlier today when I was looking at this. They were both at plus 400. I just updated this. And Michael Penix is now at plus 360. Michael Penix is alone at the top of the Heisman odds, now edging past Caleb Williams for the best odds to win the Heisman Trophy. Michael Penix plus 360, Caleb Williams plus 400. Quinn Ewers plus 600, Bo Nix plus 1,000, Jordan Travis plus 1,200, and then Jaden Daniels at plus 1,800, followed by Sam Hartman, Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma, Kyle McCord at Ohio State, Drew Allar from Penn State, and so on and so forth. I thought it was an interesting time just to illustrate where Jaden is through 4 games and make a comparison that might make a little sense as to the type of season he's having so far. I understand that when you do numbers on radio, this confuses a lot of people sometimes because you're not there with a pen and a pad. A lot of people are visual, but just follow me here. You don't have to memorize it. Just follow what I'm saying. So through 4 games right now, Jaden Daniels has thrown for 1,296 yards. So basically 1,300 yards through 4 games. 12 touchdowns, 2 picks, and he's completed 72.6% of his passes. Okay? 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. 72% completion. Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman a year ago, at this point, through 4 games, had 1,054 yards. It's about 250 yards off of the pace Jaden Daniels is setting right now. A year ago, through 4 games, Caleb Williams had 9 touchdowns to where Jaden is right now with 12. He had thrown no interceptions. Jaden's got 2. And he completed 66% of his passes to Jaden's 72. So Jaden Daniels has thrown about 250 more yards and 3 more touchdowns through 4 games and completed 6% more of his passes, 72% as opposed to 66%, than what Caleb Williams did through 4 games a year ago when he won the Heisman. You want to know why it is so hard to repeat as the Heisman Trophy winner? Because Caleb Williams, the voters are going to expect Caleb Williams to have a better season than he had a year ago, and he's being outpaced by the guy right now with the 6th best odds. That's why. Also, by comparison, to illustrate how good Joe Burrow was, through 4 games, Joe Burrow had thrown for 1,520 yards and 17 touchdowns and completed 80.6% of his passes. As great as Jaden is with 1,300 yards and 12 tuds, Joey B had 1,520 yards, 17 touchdowns, and was completing 80.6% of his passes through 4 weeks. And we all know it only went up from there. So for everyone who says, hey, is so-and-so going to be the next Joe Burrow? No! No! It doesn't matter who you're talking about. No one will be the next Joe Burrow. He threw for 60 touchdowns. 60! It'll never happen again. And he's ours forever. All right, it's after further review. Let's talk some beer with Lee Feinswog next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources. So excited to welcome Glow Resources to the AFR family. GlowResources.com if you want to learn more. Glow is G-L-O. GlowResources.com. Whether you are trying to place for white-collar jobs or blue-collar jobs, Glow Resources can help. Go to GlowResources.com. G-L-O, GlowResources.com. Compared to some other job placement agencies, Glow will explore strategies that fully support the competitive culture. They focus on HR processes. They keep track of operating costs. And their search firm is really dedicated to ensuring that both the employer and the employee are mutually growing together in the workplace. It's Glow Resources. They provide end-to-end services. They can even close clients for you, close potential candidates for you. GlowResources.com. That's G-L-O, GlowResources.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
How good is this? We got Lee Feinswog via video chat. So all you beautiful people, you'll be able to hear Lee better. And all of you who are watching on YouTube or WBTR get to see him welcoming into your home wherever you may be. How are you, Lee?
Matt, start with the 2 beers that I'm not going to introduce you to later. But 2 beers, and since you asked, the mustache is the key to success. You know, the old Monopoly guy.
I love it. So good.
Yeah, I got the gnarly mustache going on.
Hey, real quick, when you were holding up the beers, you were out of the frame. Hold them closer together if you would, and tell us what they are.
It's my first time, for TV stuff and Zooming,
Wait, no, back farther. Back farther and high.
So,
there you go. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
What do you have?
So this one is my next door neighbor, Will Grant, whose son, Christopher, goes to South Alabama, brought this one back. It's from Braided River Brewing Company, Spotted Tail Jaguar Ale, which I just thought it was cool that they're affiliated with the university and they have a beer, and it's just 4.3%, nice lager. And then Dogfish Head. We've got a Dogfish Head coming later, but this one, Citrus Squall.
Okay.
Which I don't know. It wasn't good enough to make the cut because it's too grapefruity for me, but it's a double golden ale, they called it. And, I'm just stockpiling so many beers, Matt. I can't just go with the one we have later, but oh my goodness, the one we have later is absolutely fabulous. How are you, Matt?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm doing fantastic. When the home teams win, weeks are generally better during the fall, and the Tigers obliged. The Saints, unfortunately, did not. We missed you last week, and you were gone for the entire summer, so I feel like that's why you've stockpiled so many beers. But what through 4 weeks, what is your observation of this LSU football team, if you have any big picture observations?
Well, I kind of do, reminding you of how the schedule works, and always reminding that it's a marathon, not a sprint, but that Florida State loss is such a tough loss because even though it came early, it still counts a lot. But who you play, when you play them, and where you play them. So like the schedule this week, in a lot of ways, to me, is kind of interesting for the teams that played last week. So, for example, LSU has to go to Ole Miss, which would be, you would consider one of the toughest games on the schedule. But you've got to think that Ole Miss is banged up and has to have a little bit of a low after playing Alabama last week, right? And also losing the way they did. And then, Alabama's got it theoretically easier going to Mississippi State. I'm personally intrigued by the Florida Kentucky game. I think that's the one for the day. But to your point, the up and down of it all, because the Grambling was just batting practice, and but a good victory for them last week, and last week was kind of a microcosm of just how up and down they appear to be. I mean, Jaden Daniels is fabulously good, right? Yeah. I was laughing at the way you were laughing in the last segment, comparing him to Joe Burrow. I mean, you saw the greatest college football team have the greatest college football season with the greatest college football quarterback, with, as it turned out, a couple of the greatest college football receivers ever, as indicated by how they've all done since then. And so to suggest that you would see anything like that again in your lifetime is really pushing it. But this kid's really good. He's, and that's such an important thing. If he can stay healthy, I think he should run more. But every time you run, you got to hold your breath, right?
He needs to learn how to slide is what he needs. I mean, he'd be fine. I'm fine with him running. He just got to get down. He just always takes hits.
But injuries are a big part of sports and a big part of football. He's going to get hurt anyway. Every quarterback gets hurt. Nobody goes through the season unscathed. But a little consistency, and but I think that the schedule, at least this week, favors them a great deal. And then you got Missouri setting up for the Auburn game, so you got a chance to be able to build a little cachet, if you will.
So you said Burrow, best quarterback, best team, all that sort of stuff. In your lifetime, who would you say would rival that? Before Joe Burrow came along, who would you have put at the top of that list?
Oh, my gosh.
And you're old, so you have a large sample size.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. I'm thinking of guys who might have won the Heisman Trophy, as quarterbacks, and how great they were. I mean, was it Vinny Testaverde at Miami? Not guys who translated to the pros, but had great seasons. Mm-hmm. But man, without seriously looking at a list and really thinking about it, nothing even came close to that, did it?
Yeah,
I mean, nothing.
I would say in a single season sample at that level, no. I mean, like we saw some, like Timmy Chang, for example, Colt Brennan, may he rest in peace. Some of those system quarterbacks in Hawaii put up massive numbers. A lot of Mike Leach's quarterbacks at Texas Tech put up massive numbers. But it wasn't against SEC competition at the highest level week in like Burrow did. So no, not like that. But the thing that I would say is the guy with the best college career before Burrow, if I had to say, would have been Tim Tebow. I think, and it's not a recency bias thing either. Like I can certainly respect history. I think you have to understand what Tim Tebow was for 4 years at Florida and the way he sort of transcended the sport and transformed that position as well.
Well, the way he played was a little bit different. You had a tight end or a linebacker playing quarterback who threw a very nice pass, but could run the ball so well, had the command of the huddle. I mean, they had good teams. And he even had like the jump pass,
Stop.
And
I'm not interested in reliving the jump.
Well, but there were just things that he could do, and he did them consistently. He was great. I mean, you think about correlation between college and pro. I mean, like Peyton Manning was a really good quarterback for Tennessee, but nothing like as good as he was later in the pros. Heck, they won the national championship the year after he left. Eli Manning was a good quarterback at Ole Miss, but he got better when he went to the NFL. I mean, Burrow picked right up. I mean, Burrow didn't miss a step. What is it? Was it his second year he went to the Super Bowl?
Yeah. First year ended with the knee injury, and second year after he got healthy went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and okay, you guys, be ready, because the Burrow family has made many great investments, but of course, they own the Omaha franchise of the upcoming Pro Volleyball Federation. And his brother, I think it's is his dad Jimmy?
His dad is Jimmy, yes.
And there's a brother who lives in Omaha and has a restaurant. They're a big part of it too. Yeah. So pro volleyball coming your way next winter.
Got it.
You're excited.
And I noticed right there behind you as well, you've got an encased volleyball. Who has signed that, or what is that relevant to?
Well, that one's autographed by a couple of Olympic coaches, including our current USA gold medal winning Olympic coach Karch Kirai, who's the greatest volleyball player in American history, both indoors and on the beach.
Yes, of course.
Oh, yeah. You've heard of Karch. You've heard of Karch Kirai.
No, I haven't.
We qualified for the Olympics last week, and that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you'd be excited about that.
Because I want the U.S. to whip foreigners' behinds in everything we do. I don't care if I care about volleybball or not. I care about America.
This week is a really big pro beach tournament in Paris, but the LSU pair of Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss are the #1 ranked team in the Olympic race, and they of course went to LSU. If they make the Olympics, you've got to promise to have them on.
Sure, I would gladly do that. Okay,
you got to, and they're wonderful people.
We're short on time. Yesterday, both the men's and women's LSU basketball teams began practice. A thought. I had a good conversation yesterday with Tasman Mitchell. As I was walking to the Brian Kelly press conference, he was walking out that administration building, and they're optimistic about that men's squad, and the women's squad obviously is going to be sensational. What a quick thought on both the men's and women's basketball teams as they open practice?
Well, the women, I guess, are going to be must-watch TV for all the obvious reasons, and they're defending champions. Tasman Mitchell is on his way to becoming a regular Sam Nader, working for every administration, and every coaching staff. He's such a good guy and such a good basketball person. The one thing that surprised me was that they're starting practice on September 25th, September 26th. Remember, it used to be October 15th, and that was when it would be Midnight Madness. Yeah. And you still had 3 full weeks till the season. Now they get 6 weeks to prepare. That's a lot. That's a lot of time, because neither team opens until November 6th, when you get that long-awaited Mississippi Valley State at LSU men's game, because when they play, you can throw out the record books. And then the women, November 6th, play Colorado in Las Vegas.
That is going to be cool, by the way.
Yeah, it'd be cool to go to Vegas, watch a little basketball. I went to Vegas one. LSU played in Vegas during Shaquille's time, and that was a cool trip. In the restaurant we went to later, Mike Tyson showed up as we were leaving, so we got to see Mike Tyson. Before we get to the beer, I'll just tell you, we were waiting for our taxi. There was a bunch of us, and there'd been a big fight in Vegas that night. This is around 1991, and the doors burst open, and these 4 guys, all wearing black suits and trench coats and hats, and they came walking in to the restaurant and just looked around, and then they left, and we were like, what the hell's going on here? And a couple of seconds later, this short, stocky, well-dressed man comes walking in, and somebody goes, "Hey, champ!" And he goes, "Hi."
Just hit the beer music.
Meanwhile, I'm ready for you, Matt.
I guess you can't hear the music. It's playing. It's playing. Hang on.
Oh, the music's playing. Oh, my bad. So this is, this is your first time to have me doing this, not live on the radio and through phone.
You would have to have.
This is pumpkin ale from Dogfish Head, a full-bodied brown ale with smooth hints of pumpkin, brown sugar, and spice. And the design by itself is cool. This is really good. We started last week with the Oktoberfest, and this is getting off a little bit of the Oktoberfest path, but it is, come on. pumpkin ale, brown ale brewed
Yeah.
with pumpkin and spices. This is actually a cold one. I couldn't find usually I save the cans like I did with the others, but this one will have to just get consumed because it's warming up out here on my desk. So, there is no more sports225.com. The website ran into problems, and it was like, you know what? It doesn't make any difference. All the shows are archived on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook. The stuff's pinned there. You can watch all the shows, including the last one we posted, which was last year with you.
Hey, all right, so go to YouTube and search Sports225. Subscribe up to the channel there, and you get all of the past episodes and future episodes of Sports225 with our friend Larry Feinstein. Thank you, Larry. We appreciate the time as always.
Just remember, the mustache is the key to success. Bye, guys.
Get out of here. That is Lee Feinswog. This is AFR. We will have so much more credibility when we return. Former Saint left tackle Jermon Bushrod will be here. Stick around.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet. And I'm pretty excited because coming up at the Renaissance Hotel, we're going to start to be able to tell you about their evenings at the Renaissance. They got a lot of really cool events that are going to be planned coming up. And for months now, I've said, hey, Tallulah, inside of the Renaissance Hotel. It's a casual upscale dining experience. It's not a hotel restaurant. It is a restaurant that's at the Renaissance. By the way, of course, tons of parking at the Renaissance, so you never have to worry about that. You walk into the main entrance, you go to the left, you'll see Tallulah right there. It's a great time of year for a cocktail on the terrace. There's shade, there's breeze. Even though on the other side of this big concrete wall, which is beautiful with this ornate fountain with fire and everything, is Bluebonnet, you don't feel like you're on Bluebonnet. You feel like you're in an oasis. It's a great place for dinner, for a cocktail. It's Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six Rings.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Of course, through the first 3 weeks of the Saints season, I'm not sure there's been a bigger topic than the offensive line and some of the issues and how they might improve. There might be few better people to ask than our next guest. 12 NFL seasons, of course, was the starting left tackle on the Saints Super Bowl team back in 2009. He was a former 4th-round draft pick. He is Jermon Bushrod. Great contributor there at Fox 8 as well. You see him all throughout the preseason. He's good enough to join us now. Jermon, we appreciate the time, man. How are you?
Man, good afternoon. I appreciate y'all having me on. I'm doing well, man. I can't complain. I'm blessed.
Man, we appreciate it. Let me just start kind of from the beginning. I mean, you got to follow this team obviously a lot through the preseason, doing a lot of your analysis work and analyst work. Did you foresee some of these issues then?
I believe that, kind of just going back to the preseason and just being able to kind of be a fly on the wall at practice, and then seeing some of the, obviously seeing the preseason games, you kind of should understand that it's definitely going to be some type of a learning curve for a couple of guys on the offensive line. But, as a group, this group has had success over the years, and, when you got to plug and play and get new players in here, it could be a little bit of an adjustment, but it's been a little tough so far this season.
Your path, I think, is similar to what we're seeing with, not exactly the same, but similar with Trevor Penning, right? You were at Towson, Penning was at Northern Iowa, so you come from a small school into the NFL, but you had a couple of years before you became a starter in 2009 on that Super Bowl team. Penning is right there now in year 2 after missing the bulk of last year. What is realistic, Jermon? How quickly did you feel like you were ready to be a starting left tackle in the NFL?
I think our situations, were obviously the same, when you look at the years, but then, what's expected of a player? I was a 4th-round pick. Did they expect me to come in and start? As a first-rounder, if you're not starting that first year, they're looking for you to be a key contributor, at least for that second year. And but this league, this league is tricky. It's not college, right? And when you are from a smaller school, I was a 1AA. You're talking about where Trevor Penning's from. You're not getting that SEC type of competition week in and week out. So it's definitely going to be some adjustments. Listen, these are the best of the best when you're talking about pass rushers, guys who have strength, speed, and honestly, some of them have all of that. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve, and having a chance to really go back to see this last game, just to focus on him. I see him getting better from the preseason, week 1. He had his bumps and obstacles that he had to face early on in the season. You see it a little bit more in the second game. But I go back and I look at this game. Rashawn Gary was tough. He's one of the best pass rushers in this league. But I saw some good reps out of this team that left me encouraged, like especially in that 2-minute drill. Like this is the time where I got to have that protection, right? I got to have I got to give Jameis a pocket so he can do his maneuvering towards the end of the game. And I was really encouraged to see that. But, as a whole, it gets frustrating because it's like, certain guys will take their turn here and there. And, it's just really a fight to be as consistent as possible. I think they're close. We just got to put it all together.
Jermon, you mentioned good reps for Penning and then the offense in that 2-minute drill. Are you seeing that more are the good reps coming in run blocking or in pass protection or both?
So, I think the hot topic or what people, really are concerned about is the pass protection, right? So I'm talking about the end of the game, the fourth quarter when, Love and the Packers really get that momentum swing. They didn't have it for over 3 quarters, right? And then they get it through some big penalties in the fourth quarter. And the next thing you know, he was able to finally deliver the ball and put it in places where his receivers could consistently catch the ball, right? But for our guys, it's about, this is the time where the pack they're coming, right? Like, it's a 2-minute drill. We need to put points on the board. And when I saw those reps that the offensive line were able to protect for Jameis, not even the starter, I left encouraged. But it was definitely, it was tough to see some of the reps earlier on. But that's why we get back to the drawing board and have another opportunity this week.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler Jermon Bushrod is our guest. We saw Hurst a year ago play for 2 seasons, play left tackle. Is there any thought to Hurst, if he's a better option at left tackle today, playing him there, moving Penning to guard? Or maybe a better question, Jermon, is how easy or realistic would that even be if you wanted to make that kind of shuffle?
I can say this: it's not easy. Realistic at this point of the season, I don't think that's a realistic goal for this team. Only because you're talking to somebody who went from left tackle to right guard, so it was an adjustment. When you look at Penning's body frame and the way his feet are moving, he has the tools to play this tackle position. I just think it's going to take some time on task, and I see a guy who, obviously, they talk about the run blocking, but blocking is we need you to pass block as well, and I think this guy is coming along. Like, I see his hands striking a little quicker, striking a little bit firmer. He's got to fight to be more consistent with that, and when he does, this conversation won't even be had again, because I think he does have everything he needs to protect the quarterback's blind side, but it's going to take a little time. So I hope, obviously, as a Saints fan, myself and as a former player, you just want to see him continue to just keep going up.
So that's a great point. So you do see what the organization sees in Trevor Penning as a guy who can be a franchise left tackle.
Yes, that's what they drafted him for. You look at his measurables, you look how long the guy is, you look how strong he is. I think he does have everything you can possibly want as a team to play left tackle. Now, guard is a position that could possibly suit him later on down the road, but right now, this guy has to play tackle because this is what you've been training this individual to go out there and play. So tackle is it. And if he continues to get better, like I said, we won't have this conversation later on if he's able to continue to grow as a player.
So you said something in your previous answer, Jermon, and I'm glad you went there, where you talked about the challenge of even moving from one side of the line to the other, left to right. We saw when Cesar Ruiz was injured, we saw Hurst go from left guard to right guard, and Andres Pete went in at left guard. So we don't know Ruiz's status for this week yet. He's in the concussion protocol. But what about that shuffle? Because I think everyone's searching for an answer, right? And that's natural. So is it, I guess a way to ask it, Jermon, do you stick with the status quo, or do you try to shuffle the deck a little to see if you can find a better match on either side of the line?
Well, honestly, what a luxury it is to have somebody like Hurst who can really go from, we just had a conversation about Hurst going from left guard to left tackle, but then he goes in and he fills in from left guard to right guard, and he's that versatile where you can put this guy on the line and he can fill in at 4 different spots. But then, you see him go over to right guard, and you see Pete come in at left, and it takes some time, right? It takes some time to go from left to right. It's all timing. It's all repetition. It's all preparation. So he hasn't been getting any. I feel really good about saying this, but he hasn't been getting any reps on the right side. I would assume, being that he's been the starter, and then you go plug this guy right in, and it takes a couple plays to get adjusted to. The same with Andres Pete, but then you see Hurst kind of get back to his ways at that right guard position as well. It's all about timing, getting your feet down. And being in the right place. But, Hurst is really a luxury. So it's like you're so thankful that you have a guy like him on your line.
I got a couple more. When Ryan Ramczyk got his deal, he was, I think we would all, the consensus was the best, or certainly one of the best right tackles in football. When you watch him right now, Jermon, it looks like everybody's struggling out there. What are you seeing with Ryan Ramczyk?
I thought the first 2 weeks he played pretty solid. Like I said, last game, it seemed like Rashawn Gary was on. He was really on one when you sit back and watch the game, and his style of play can be tough for the type of offense we have. We want to be able to keep our guards firm, and we want to be able get those ends around the edges, right? And you have somebody who's like of the likes of Rashawn Gary, who's he's taking a one track, right, from point A to point B. He's going right towards the quarterback. He has good power, and then he has the ability to get on your edge. So these are some things that I don't continue to see. I don't think it's going to continue to happen out of Ramczyk. I mean, it was a tough game, and I really respect his game, right? And he's been really a solid piece of this line. But I think this is a guy who's going to end up coming back, bouncing back, having a good game against the Bucs. But it just like we were talking about earlier. It just seems like every other series, it was somebody who was taking a turn, not being able to do their job to the best of their ability. And listen, I've been there, so I know the feeling when you feel like nothing can go right, and as a line. So you just got to really get back to the drawing board. And I hate how cliche sometimes that sounds, but at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? Figuring out how we're going to go out here and win this next game and be at our best. Is that so? Last thing, and your time very much appreciated. I'm glad you went there. It's almost like you have my questions in front of me, and you know which way I'm going. But there's been a lot of talk about Doug Marrone. Of course, your former teammate, Jari Evans, is an assistant helping with the staff. How much of this, the opportunity to get this right falls on the coaching staff to figure this out? How much is it the guys just executing better? I think, obviously, I know Doug and the relationship that him and I have had and how he's helped me grow. And I know how detailed Jari is and how much how he approaches the game and the level of preparation that he used to put in. So I know he's doing that now. So it's a combination, right? The coach's job is to coach and put our players in the best position possible. And as a player, individually, we got to be at our best, right? But then individually, if we're doing our job to the best of our ability, cohesively, we'll be able to get our job done better if we're all on the same page, if we're all understanding of what needs to be done, where's our help, understanding who has the one-on-one, this block. And I went back and looked at the Packers game. I just got finished watching it 30 minutes ago, and they were giving us 5-0 looks a lot. So that's pretty much one-on-one. Those are things that the whole offense has to understand, there's no slide protection. Everybody's one-on-one. It's like pretty much pass rush that you guys love to watch in training camp. It's stressful on the O-line, right, because some of those times you get 3-on-2s, and then the other side is like, okay, we gotta get ready, and we got to do our one-on-one blocks here. But I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's about the coaches making sure that they're continuing to, and I know I've been in that Saints building on the other side of football, so I know the preparation that they're putting in. It's a little bit of both, though. It's coaching and players going out there and finding a way to get it done. He is former Saints Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, Jermon Bushrod. Jermon, this is great, man. Thank you so much for the time. Let's do it again, okay? Yeah, absolutely. Just give me a holler, man. Thanks for the opportunity. Will do. That's our pleasure. Great stuff, man. Really, that I want to react to that when we come back, but I come away from that encouraged in more ways than one. Let's touch on some of that when we come back. We also got to do Tigers and the Pros. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. I love sharing Google reviews with you. And it's easy because they've got more than double the amount of Google reviews than the next closest competitor. There's thousands of them. Just spin the wheel and pick one. This one from David Wynn. Brandon, his technician. Brandon did a great job explaining the issues with my AC unit. He provided options as well as explaining the functions of the different parts of the unit. I would recommend 5-star review from David Wynn. One of the things he said there, which resonates with me, is where David writes that Brandon provided options as well as explaining the issues. You'll always get that. Your technician will, if they recommend some type of service, they will give you a good, better, and best option based on what you want to get done, how much you want to spend, all that sort of stuff. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Thanks again to former Saint Jermon Bushrod for jumping aboard with us. Great perspective. If you missed that, that'll be up on demand. Of course, AFR on demand, presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. All right, I want to react to some of what Jermon had to say, but real quick, let's do it. Muse has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Devin White played through a groin injury last night. Played pretty well. 7 tackles in the ballgame and an interception that he returned 26 yards and then stepped out of bounds because, he had a groin injury. There's just no reason to aggravate that even more. Bucks lost, though. Joe Burrow completed 26 of 49 passes for 259. Did throw the interception, but didn't re-injure the calf. That's the big thing. And found Jamar Chase early and often in that ballgame. 12 receptions on 15 targets for Jamar for 141 yards. To Major League Baseball, some action to look out for tonight. Aaron Nola on the bump for the Phillies. 12-9 on the year, 194 punch-outs for Nola on the season. He's looking for win number 13. And Kevin Gausman, likewise, looking for win number 13. He will take on the Yankees tonight. 232 Ks for Gausman and a ERA of 3.29.
Is that good?
It's not bad. I mean, I've heard it plays pretty well. You know, you lead the American League in strikeouts. That's solid.
That sounds good.
Yep. And here we go. We'll wrap it up with some minor league baseball. Daniel Cabrera and the Erie Seawolves. How about this? They're playing in their championship series right now, the Eastern League Championship Series against the Binghamton Rumble Ponies and Paul Gervais. How about that?
The Rumble Ponies.
Game two is tonight.
Rumble Ponies.
Game 2 is tonight. Cabrera last night, they're 2 for 4 in the ball game. Nice backside single in the 9th inning to provide a little breathing room. That was his 1 RBI, and he would come around to score twice as well. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, it's almost October. Before you know it, Christmas will be here. It's time when a lot of you decide to pop the question. Let Lee Michaels help pick out that diamond that will thrill her forever. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Give her a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Was glad to have Jermon Bushrod here. A couple of the things he said, if you missed it. Most importantly, I think, is his belief that Trevor Penning can be a franchise left tackle. Because I think it's fair to say, look, he misses all of year one, and there have been times this year where he looks lost. And there's times players are drafted to be a tackle in this league, and they can't do it. And I always think of Robert Gallery, who was a top 5. I think Robert Gallery's maybe the 3rd, 4th pick in the draft out of Iowa. Ended up being a guard. He just didn't have the feet to play tackle. But you have Bushrod. There was a Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, a franchise left tackle who said, no, that kid can do it. And also that he said that they have good reps, that he saw good reps, but it just felt like every series it was somebody else who was missing a block that would kill a series. And sometimes you have those days. And sometimes it's being disjointed. And obviously Cesar Ruiz left, and you had a rotation where Hurst switched sides and Pete's goes into the game. And, yeah, it's challenging. So I think there was some encouraging there. That's good. Now, what about under center? That's a different question, and that's a question we'll ask Sean Salisbury coming up after the top of the hour. Of course, we're always brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. They do it all, and now Relief Windows does indoor shutters as well. So, you can buy your windows from them. Better buy your shutters from them as well, because their number one product is always amazing customer service. That's Relief Windows. Custom-made, measured twice, installed once. It's Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows, ReliefWindows.com. Okay, Sean Salisbury's coming up right after the top of the hour, so we'll step aside, get you caught up on national headlines from SportsCenter. When we come back, we'll talk college and pro with Sean Salisbury. The Saints have added a quarterback, by the way, so we'll get Sean to the active roster. So we'll get Sean's take on that when we come back after the top of the hour. Thoughts on Jameis and all that stuff. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
As we wrap up hour number 2, love to be able to tell you every day about Mold Zero, because seemingly every day I get a message from one of you, from someone who will message me, will tweet me, or email me, or hit me on Facebook Messenger or something. Hey, Matt, what's the mold company you always talk about? Well, it's Mold Zero. Mold-0USA.com. Mold-ZEROUSA.com. If you have mold or think you might, maybe you have an odor in a building you just can't get rid of. One of their clients, Jim told me the story. They had a client who had a rental home, a rental property, and this rental property just had this odor. They couldn't, no matter what they did, cleaning, anything, could not get rid of this odor. Mold Zero went in, sprayed, boom. That day, odor gone. Mold Zero. Mold-0USA.com. They're patented, non-toxic dry fog treatment. Go to the website, learn more, request a quote. It's Mold Zero. Online, mold-0USA.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Hours after a WBRZ investigative unit report, a justice of the peace abruptly resigned from office. It comes as the WBRZ investigative unit was looking into more allegations of impropriety by Justice of the Peace Randy Guidros. Guidros also has been seen having a cozy relationship with a state representative. Hear what he had to say. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different.
Is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Hall of Fame third baseman Brooks Robinson has died at the age of 86. Robinson, a 15-time All-Star, won 16 consecutive Gold Gloves from 1960 to 75. He spent his entire 23-year Major League career in Baltimore and was a member of the franchise's 1996 and 1970 World Championship teams. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, during today's appearance on the Pat McAfee Show, was asked about Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Namath's strong criticism of Zach Wilson, said there's been too much negativity over the last few weeks, urging Wilson to find a way to block out some of the noise. Rodgers then took his team to task for a couple of things he's observed.
I think we need to hold our poise a little bit better. Really just offensively, we need to not have some of those things happen on the sideline. And there's been, I think, too many little side conversations, and we just need to grow up a little bit on offense and lock in and do our jobs, everybody, and not point fingers at each other, and it's everybody.
Aaron Rodgers. While Coach Robert Saleh has said the Jets are sticking with Wilson this week, they'll sign veteran free agent QB Trevor Siemian to the practice squad.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
From Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Sean Salisbury coming up here in just a quick moment. We do have pretty significant breaking news with the injury to Derek Carr. This felt inevitable that the Saints were going to add a quarterback. You couldn't go into this week with only Jameis Winston. Of course, Jake Haener is suspended. So the Saints, Field Yates was the first to have it. Saints are signing quarterback Jake Luton off the Panthers practice squad to their 53-man roster. He notes with Derek Carr banged up, Jake Haener suspended, Luton adds depth. This ensures Luton at least 3 weeks of pay at the 53-man roster rate. Again, to sign a player off the practice squad, you have to sign them to your 53-man roster. So the Saints have done that, adding Jake Luton. All right, Sean Salisbury, good enough to join us as he does every single Tuesday. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you today?
Doing awesome. Let's start with the injury to Derek Carr. Have you ever had an AC joint sprain?
I have.
in college.
What can you tell us what that's like and what the challenges are and timetable and stuff like that?
Yeah, if it's the throwing or non-throwing, depending on who it is. For mine was, I believe, the throwing shoulder. It's the AC. It's one of those where what's your threshold of pain? Think, for instance, you're strong. Go lay on the way of the movement of the AC joint of. You go normal bench press. Just picture this, Maddy, and then go with your AC joint injury. Go and lower the weight, and it'll just go away. I mean, there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? That movement had no strength in my AC joint to where you lower it, try to on that movement. Now, if you can handle on the throwing motion, and if you can handle it on a throwing shoulder, the pain threshold, it's fine. It was, and I did not need surgery. I mean, it takes a while. It's time now, depending on the depth of it. I did not have to have surgery on it, but it kept me out a handful of weeks. And it was right after, it was between the end of the season and a bowl game, so I had some chance to recover. But the pain was it can be excruciating, and it can be very difficult. But depending on how severe and where. But the AC joint, depending on throwing or non-throwing, depending on who it is. It is Derek's the throwing shoulder. I can't remember.
Yeah, it is. It's on his throwing shoulder.
Yep. Yeah. That'll deal with more threshold of pain. I mean, you could get by with it, with maybe a harness underneath on a non-throwing, but on a throwing shoulder. But the threshold of pain, and hopefully you don't land on it again. But I got hit and landed on the shoulder, so there's no real strength in it in mine when you'd go down on the top of it. Is now, but at the time where it was like, man, the strength between the left and the right shoulder until it healed was enormously different. It's just, to me, it was at the time, how much pain can you handle? And, with his throwing motion, how much will it change?
So we don't know for how long Derek Carr is going to be out, but the Saints did sign Jake Luton today off the Panthers practice squad. They had to add some depth behind Jameis. Look, you and I, Sean, over the past several years we've been doing this, we've talked ad nauseum about Jameis, what his ceiling is, all that sort of stuff. How much, if at all, does the Saints offense, what they're trying to do here, change with Jameis Winston as opposed to Derek Carr?
I can't imagine very much. Neither one of them are are guys that are going to beat you like a Jalen Hurts or a Josh Allen, where their feet are the main thing. Now, both have the ability on a broken play to go get you some yards and get down. Both make their living, from the pocket and some off play action. I don't think you have to change it. It's going to come down to decision making for that quarterback. Over the course of time, feel like Derek Carr's been a little bit more accurate passer and trust him on that. But for Jameis, I don't think it changed the offense one bit. And that they're more similar, and both can push the ball down the field. I would say Jameis' arm's probably a tad stronger, at least when he came into the league. Carr's a scrappy guy and tough and accurate, and they both will put up numbers. But Jameis has to protect that. The thing for Jameis is decisions and protecting the football. But if you're play calling and trying to move an offense, I don't think you step back and say, well, it's not like going from Jalen Hurts, who's two-dimensional football player, to Tom Brady, who's a pocket guy. You're going to your offense should stay pretty much intact. And now it's just, as you go through the week of game plan, good coaches will find out throughout the week what you do your best. And they've seen enough of Jameis, they know. And now with Carr, depending on, how severe and how long. But I don't think you have to do a whole lot of changing. This just comes down to decision-making on reading coverage properly and getting guys in their strength and what they do best. But neither one of them, you're designing plays on the edge for them. It's usually, they'll make a few plays with their feet, but both can push the ball down the field. And if you can protect it, you're not losing a lot with Jameis. But the key is will he protect it? And you saw when he first came to New Orleans, he went on the overprotection side.
Yeah.
You don't want to coach the aggressiveness out of him, but you'll be in every game if you protect the football. I look at the Texans here just as an example. C.J. Stroud's playing out of his mind, considering he doesn't have a lot of weapons, and the line has not been fully healthy since the start of the season. Yet he still pushes the ball down the field and is aggressive, but it protects it. He hasn't thrown a pick yet. So there is those guys that can let it rip. It's just decision-making. But I don't think you make wholesale changes to an offense. It's all about the guy with the ball in his hand. Where's he going to throw it and get through coverage?
Saints will be in Houston in 3 weeks. We could see Stroud up close and personal there. One more on the Saints. Sean Salisbury is our guest on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. This was incredible. One of our guests earlier told us this number. The pressure rate and the sacks on Carr through the first 3 weeks is double the pressure rate and sacks that Andy Dalton had a year ago in New Orleans. So the offensive line has been putrid. They get Alvin Kamara back this week.
Yep.
How much of a help, if at all, is that considering your offensive line really hasn't been able to either run block or pass block?
Huge. The threat alone, Maddy. There's certain guys, in the league that now I don't know how the usage factor. I mean, if it was me, the ball's not heavy and his legs should be pretty damn fresh. So you have to. The greatest thing about Kamara is when you're a defensive coordinator, he's going to use up a lot of your practice time this week. One is, depending on who the quarterback is, and in this case, is the healthy one or the one that may not be. I don't know if they've announced yet. I think is it day-to-day right now, Maddy? They're going to see as the week goes on, correct?
Yeah, but
right.
It's so
I would
hard
lean
to
towards
imagine.
Winston. Yeah, it's Winston. To me, after I had mine, the threshold of pain, but just it almost feels like a slap in the face to a veteran that you're telling me Carr can go out at 75% and operate it better than Jay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Jameson, who's had some success in the league. So I would plan, if I'm the defensive team and if I'm my staff, I would plan on that I'm going to have Jameis Winston as my quarterback. Well, with adding Alvin Kamara, the defensive coach now knows who the weapons are, thinking, okay, they're adding what we haven't seen this year, but let's go back and look at tape when he's on the field and coordinator and how they're going about it. You got to defend the width of the field now. And you also got to defend play action because Kamara is so versatile, catching the ball out of the backfield. He can still hit it inside. He's got some burst. And, again, he'll be fresh-legged. So just in your preparation alone, it's going to use up practice time. So it's an advantage for the Saints, obviously, to have him, but it also eats up some practice time. And now how you deploy him, and you mentioned the pass protection, the pressure rate, and Carr, who's been an accurate thrower and gets the ball out the ironic thing, he gets the ball out pretty quickly, too, in his career, whether you take a lot of sacks. The ball comes out when he makes a decision pretty quickly. And Jameis, he likes to get depth and push the ball down the field. So I'm assuming that having him on the field, meaning Kamara, has to at least put some skates on the pass rush a little bit, because if you decide to over pass rush and everything's pinned back to go get the quarterback, Kamara could gash and get some yards, but the screen game, flexing him out and trying to create mismatches, if you can motion him and see if a linebacker or safety's covering him, I would deploy some formations. I would move Kamara around. Even this offensive system is not new to him. So his presence alone will make the defensive coordinator use up time. And if it was me, one of the more versatile guys in the league when he's healthy and on the field and when he has been eligible to play, Alvin Kamara creates a major problem. I'd like to see him touch the ball. I would think that 20-plus touches would be in order, and anything you can do to slow down any pass rush in the league, those guys out of the backfield can do it, especially since they can catch the ball. Mismatch problems, you got to find a way to create them this week.
Sean Salisbury is with us. Let's not get a quick break, Sean. We'll come back. I want to ask, I'm curious your thoughts on the top of the NFL right now because, man, Miami sure looks like it's hard to go against them right now. We'll get a thought from Sean on that. Also, got to get Sean's take on Jaden Daniels, the continued progression there on a quote-unquote bad day, 320 and 4 touchdowns. His bad days are SEC Offensive Player of the Week worthy right now. Lots to talk about. One more segment to go with Sean Salisbury as we continue on AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
AFR.
Want to remind you about HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Hey, remember, last week, the state of Louisiana finally announced its fortified roofing program. There are $10,000 grants available. You've heard me talk about Fortified for a long time, but if you're a homeowner and it's about time to replace that roof, remember, HUDCO was Louisiana's first certified fortified roofing company. HUDCO's been doing fortified roofs for longer than any other Louisiana-based roofing company. So if it's that time where thinking about replacing your roof, give HUDCO a call. Let us come out. We'll get someone up there. Free, no-obligation roofing inspection. You don't even have to be home for the inspection. Really, it's just permission for someone to go get on the roof, walk it, mark it, chalk it, see if you have damage. And if it's worthy, help you file that insurance claim and help you get that fortified roofing claim approved as well. HUDCOroofing.com for more than 20 years. A Louisiana company, Louisiana people, Louisiana products. HUDCOroofing.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, we continue with Sean Salisbury, good enough to join us for a couple of segments every single Tuesday here on AFR. Talking a little football. Sean, look, everyone's talking about Miami putting up 70 this past weekend against Denver. You ever seen anything remotely close to that?
Remotely, maybe, but not very. Okay. Kind of. I mean, it looked. I mean, you've seen. I've seen some of these high-powered teams that'll hang 50 on you. But you know what it looked like, Maddy, is when we go out, like during the week on a Wednesday, and you write up the scout team cards. And when you write up, so people know when you're putting the scout team cards and they're drawing them up. So when you're going, okay, first team offense versus scout team defense, right? Denver's defense. What they'll do is they have all 25 cards or more that they'll hold it up for the scout team to look at, and let's say it's cover 3 or cover 2 on the card. Well, what they've done is they've drawn up on your script offensively the cover 2 beater. You want your offense to be confident. Okay, they're going to play cover 2 and 3rd and 6th. You want to have a cover 2 call so your offense feels it during the week. Does that make sense? Where it's okay, we've scripted it. It looked as if the Miami Dolphins went in and said, okay, here's what we'd like you to run on 3rd and 4, because here's our 3rd and 4 beater. I mean, it was as amateur hour of defense as you've seen. And the execution, and Mike McDaniel, who I friggin' love anyway, what he did, in the run game in San Francisco, and he's a lot of the genius behind he and Kyle together, what they've done all these years together, and now in Miami, is he's doing stuff that is uncharacteristic. The way they're lining up, they're staying ahead, and Mike's a brilliant offensive play caller in mind, and now they've got all the weapons in place at every position. Phenomenal team speed and accurate quarterback, a very accurate quarterback. So it looked like it was the scout team making sure that the offense felt good going into the game. Yet this was a live game. Denver is a bad football team. They lack leadership. It's not going to get much better. They've got good players, but the sum, not very good. And Miami Dolphins, to me right now, 49ers are close. Philly's close. Dallas took a major step back. But in the AFC, I don't, and I know Baltimore can win, but right now, to me, the Miami Dolphins are definitely the team to beat, and that's including Kansas City and Buffalo or anybody else, because their weapons are ridiculous and they can score from anywhere on the field. It's pretty impressive to watch.
I was gonna ask Miami, Buffalo, KC. You would take Miami in the AFC today. What about NFC? Same question. I mean, San Fran, Philly. I mean, Dallas before this past weekend, many thought might have been the best team in the NFL.
49ers, Philly in the NFC, and then I think there's a gap. Now, I understand the Cowboys, but the Cowboys do this too often.
Yeah.
They get rolling, and you're like, oh, here they go. They're on a roll. And then, bam, they'll go into Arizona. And while Arizona and Dobbs are playing hard, I'm not going to compliment somebody for playing hard. That's their job. But the Cowboys, and I don't know what Dak was looking at in the end zone. These are the things that drive Cowboy fans and national media and all of us who think the Cowboys are loaded on defense and got good offensive players drive you crazy. To me, the best teams in the league are those two in the NFC, the 49ers and Philadelphia. I think they're at the peak of this thing. And in the AFC, it's Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore can be. I think there's a deeper depth at the top. And to me right now, if I was putting, I think Miami and the 49ers and Eagles, 6-1, half dozen, the other are the three best teams in football.
He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to get an LSU Jaden Daniels question in. Jaden in the first quarter on Saturday against Arkansas was not very good. He threw a bad interception. Right. He was inaccurate on deep balls. It was just bad.
Yep.
And he finishes 20 of 29 for 324 touchdowns. The pick completes almost 70% of his passes. I think one of the cliches we use is like the light switch. Like, how do you flip the switch? When it's going bad like that, how do you get it going?
Man, I think that's one of the best questions, and I don't know if it's the most unanswered or guessed upon question, and that it's that it factor. What does it? I can tell you from my career, there were times early in my career that I didn't overcome a bad play quick enough. I let it fester, and it carried on, and then I got out of my own head, and it kind of got fixed, because whatever it is you do, you say, whether it's talking to a coach or going through stuff. And I'm just using mine as an example so I can draw upon why other people struggle with it or don't, is that some people dealing with failure and success, you've got to get over both of them equally as urgent. You can't harbor around and sit around in the harbor of success all the time, because as a quarterback, you're waiting until you get to kneel down at the end. You could throw for 400 in the first half, throw 2 picks in the second half, and you're finished. So, I mean, you lose a game, and the stats don't matter. So you got to get over success week to week and play to play just as urgently as failure. And there was a time in my career after 2 knee surgeries, and I thought, well, am I losing confidence? I didn't get over. I let it fester 3 or 4 plays, which cost me even those plays. What Jaden Daniels is doing now, one, is an understanding of what everything he's trying to get accomplished. One, that's another cliche, but I don't know if you could put your finger on what it is other than great mental toughness and the ability and faith to know you've put all the time in that where you're living negatively in that first quarter is not you. I don't know if that makes sense, Maddy, but it's like, I think Jaden Daniels played enough football now where it's like, no. Arkansas is a good football team, but this isn't me. And it is hard. It's one of the hardest things to do, especially, people are rumbling. You get a few boos and a smattering here and there. What's going on? Oh, okay. But to be able, and then it only may take a quarter, 3 completions, 1 big play to get you back into it. But I found that at times early in my career to say, okay, how do you flip that switch? And a few completions, a coach that believes in you, where they stay aggressive and you stay aggressive. But It comes down to a couple good decisions. Some can't. Matty, you've seen it all over. You've seen it all over the place. One, they'll fester, and they'll go from one bad decision to the next. And here's why I love what happened to him. While LSU fans don't like it being that close at the win with a field goal, you find another thing out about Jaden Daniels that maybe 3 years ago he wasn't prepared to do, and that is to take bad football and a poor quarter and a time when everybody's like, what the hell is going on with this great talent, and transfer it, and then not only put your team in position to win, but go haywire with your numbers in the second half when it mattered the most and put your team in position to win a football game. And I love that. That's why I like I don't mean to keep referring to C.J. Stroud, but first 2 games of the season, he got his brains beat in. He could have wilted and said, you know what, I'm a rookie, this stuff. But he just kept firing. They kept loading up, and they kept trusting him. And I think that has a lot to do with it, too, is the belief that, dude, you're our guy, man. Drop back and let it rip. Just play smart. But good decision makers, I guess maybe that's it. Good decision makers with their football in their game and their preparation know that that's not them. They don't live. They rent space in bad stuff. They don't live there and own the bad space, and they're able to get out of it quickly. And I don't think that's easy to do. And I don't think a lot of them can. The great ones just say, you know what, we see Favre do it when he was playing, throw 3 picks in the first half and overcome it. And then some will compound a mistake by forcing something, premeditating a read. I think Jaden Daniels, maturity-wise, and the elevation, plus he's seen a lot of defenses, and his ability now has also matched his mental preparedness, his emotional toughness. And I personally, when somebody asks me what the number one trait of a quarterback is, to me it's the emotional toughness to overcome success and failure, which all happen usually in the same game. And he's at that point now.
You know what's interesting, too? I was thinking he, of course, started his career at Arizona State. And you look at the Pac-12 right now.
Oh.
Imagine if Jaden was still in Tempe. I mean, we're glad he's not, obviously.
Right.
I'm not sure if you saw this, but Michael Penix has the best Heisman odds now. He's overtaken Caleb Williams. If I asked you best quarterback in college football today, who would you take?
I would take Williams because he's got so many. I was at the game, Maddie. I'm still in Scottsdale right now.
Okay.
I was at the game, and I was with a long-standing offensive coordinator in college football. Has been a highly successful coordinator. We were at the game together. And he obviously has seen Caleb Williams, and has not seen him up close like I had. And I said, you're going to enjoy it. He goes, well, tell me what's good about him. So we talked. And at halftime, he comes over to me because he was making throws. And we were in the end zone camera. We could see him work progressions through with his head just kind of moving. And he looked at me and tapped me and goes, ooh, this guy's different. I said, yeah. And it's because of all the things he can do. And he's accurate. He's got tremendous command. I would take him because of the thing, and Penix can move, but because of what we're looking at now in quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying, Maddie? We want the guy who can beat you with his legs, dialed in and is accurate, and all those things. And I think Caleb's slight, but if you're just talking about throwing the football and a guy who is not only, in my mind, maybe as pure a thrower and as good a thrower of the ball and there is in college football, Michael Penix, he should be the leading Heisman guy now. If I'm the NFL, the first pick, I just don't see how you can pass on Caleb Williams for a lot of those things. But I don't think you're getting ripped off too much if you take, Penix, and there's a few others in that conference. You're right. If Jaden was in there, I mean, it's already quarterback heavy. Add the best quarterback in the SEC, it'd be sick. So, yeah, I would take Caleb Williams now, but Michael Penix isn't far behind. That is a conference loaded with great throwers, and Penix should be because I think they're a dangerous national championship threat at the University of Washington. They have physical, they'll run it, and they don't care where they're throwing it from. They got guts, and that dude is a monster with the football in his hand. If you're taking Caleb Williams, and I'm sitting there and you're going to give me Michael Penix, I'm going to win a lot of football games. Love him. Yeah. Absolutely love the way he throws the ball.
Hey, last thing, man. LSU's going to go to Oxford this week to play Ole Miss. And Jackson Dart, oddly, Sean, is their leading rusher right now. They have not gotten Quinshon Judkins going. They've struggled to run the football there in Oxford. But Lane's a great play caller, right? So when you look at this week where LSU defensively has been really bad, I mean, I don't know if there's any other way to say it. They've been opportunistic, but they've been mostly bad. And you got to go against Lane Kiffin, Jackson Dart, but they've lacked a run game. Like, is it one of those things where we know LSU's going to score because they're kind of scoring on everybody, but how do you, if you're struggling, I guess the way to ask the question, John, when you're struggling on defense, you're going to go against this guy that's this really elite play caller. How do you match wits this week if you're Matt House against Lane Kiffin when you got a defense that really is struggling?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you know what? Ole Miss's defense is pretty good, Maddie. They're getting after it a little bit, right? But LSU is going to score, right? They will score. You remember watching Ole Miss's defense, their running game last year?
Yeah.
Maddie, they were, committed to it, right? One of the best in the country, and they can score. And the thing with Jackson Dart is he's got great feet. He's a dynamic talent, and sometimes he gets a little erratic with the football, but hence why Lane wanted him when he left USC. The guy is a dynamic skill set. I'd be very careful if I'm LSU's defense this week, and they have been opportunistic. I don't think Lane Kiffin's going to this game thinking we got to throw 45, 50 times with. I think he's going to try and run it. Now, whether that's inside zone, pull, read, get on the edge with Jackson Dart, some bootlegs or whatever it is to get him on the edge, yes. And they will throw it, and he's talented enough to beat you throwing the football. He is. But if they can get the run game going and add some play action, we've talked about certain coordinators in the past. I know this. He wants to run it. And I know they've struggled to do it, but he believes that they can. And if he runs into a team that thinks you're going into it's going to be it's Jackson Dart left, Jackson Dart right, and Jackson Dart dropping back and throwing it. Well, if it gets to a point where they're down, that may be the case. But if I'm LSU, I would guard against thinking you're going to go and play a team that's going to want to throw it 50 times. They're going to try to run it. I assure you, because for two reasons. One is because everybody knows right now they're struggling doing it. Two is LSU's defense, you've been able to move the ball. Three is that dude that plays quarterback, I need to limit 75. I can't give him 80 plays. I just can't give him 80 plays. So you're going to try to limit it, shorten the game, which I think is huge in a game like this. And make no mistake, Ole Miss can score, but while Jackson Dart has been the guy, do not be shocked if Lane Kiffin tries to manipulate and create formations and positions where he can get guys in space to run the football and hope that this is the week they get it started. I don't think he wants to go in throwing because he knows that there is the potential of the Johnny on the spot defense when they come up with some big plays in LSU. I don't think he wants to let Jaden Daniels have 80 snaps at it. They will try to run it at some point in this game if they can.
He is Sean Salisbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Good enough to hang out with us here every Tuesday. Hey, man, also, I was checking out your social media, your Twitter account. Give us a tidbit. What is Pro Sports Fans? I see that on there.
Yeah, well, I'm the president of the company, and we started this about 3 years of technology's been. It's the best fan engagement app on the planet, and I know that sounds like I'm patting myself on the back. We've got great content creators. Think about the Manning cast for games. We have every baseball playoff game covered. We will have every NBA game covered, and we have every football game covered in every market. We've hired talent and content creators. So during the games, they're on there with a Manning cast in every city, every football team there. But also, it's regular shows during the week, and instead of it being and I know you got to go, Matt. Instead of being a podcast where you got to go and a week later you get the answer from what you wanted, it's audio, video. There'll be a peer-to-peer button on there as we're working for technology. But right now, you go in. It's community chat rooms that give the fans a seat at the table. Every day is game day for us. So you go in. People are doing their podcast. You pop in. There'll be 150 people in the chat room. Somebody comes in. If they got a question on an interview, like if you and I were doing it right now, we'd let them in, and the fans get to engage. And after the game, when they're pissed, they get to jump in. And we're also building it with Power 5 schools all across the country. So it's been good, and I think it's a game changer. And the numbers and the metrics from the way they measure apps, which is way above my head. We've got great content creators, great technology, and a great group of people. And the fans are proving to us. The metrics are saying we're doing record stuff every weekend for our app, and we're only a handful of months into it. I think we're on to something special, man. Go check it out at PSF_app on Twitter, and go get the Pro Sports Fan app. It's free. And we're headed places that the fans never been able to go with talent and on air, so we can't wait.
Very cool, man. I'm going to go download it and check it out. Pro Sports Fans. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, there you go. Appreciate you, brother.
You're the best. We appreciate the time. We'll do it next week.
Ditto, brother. Thank you.
All right, man. Be well. That's Sean Salisbury. This is After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break. And, the Taylor Swift effect is real. Did you see Travis Kelce's jersey sales? I got to talk a little bit about that. And I got to update you on the Ocho Cinco bet with Derek Carr's injury. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home, listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find it, agent225.com. And now, it has never been easier to sell your home with Darren James. He guarantees it. The Guaranteed Sale Program is back. It works like this. You're looking to sell your home? Call Darren James. He'll sit down with you. The two of you will agree to a price and a deadline. And Darren has to sell your home at that price by that deadline. If he doesn't, he will have your home bought with cash, or he will sell it absolutely free. No commission. It's Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Why would you call anyone else? You got a guy that's number 54 in the country. Top 1% of realtors in America. And he's guaranteeing he's going to sell your home. It's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Have you seen Travis Kelce's jersey sale? Taylor Swift went to the game. You know by now, of course, that Taylor Swift went to the game in Kansas City there, and her, I guess now boyfriend. Are they official? Is this official? Are they just,
I'm not
just
sure.
talking?
I mean, I would assume she was sitting with his family. Yeah, I mean that's.
What, are they just talking?
Maybe I don't know. Seems pretty official.
We need I think we need a Taylor Swift correspondent, a Travis Kelce Taylor Swift correspondent, and I think I know the person. I'm gonna get my wife to do it. I think
that'd work. Yeah.
I think we're just gonna call Erica for all day. All day, she sends me TikToks and Instagrams of like the latest that like she's obsessed with Taylor Swift. She's a total full-on Swiftie. I don't know when or how she crossed this threshold, but it's a thing. Since Taylor Swift showed up at the Chiefs-Bears game, Travis Kelce seen this is, by the way, from Front Office Sports, 400% spike in his jersey sales. Kelce's podcast now ranks number 1 overall on Apple, the podcast he does with his brother Jason. I looked at their TikTok yesterday. They got 1.3 million followers on TikTok now, the podcast does. Travis Kelce has added 383,000 Instagram followers. There were 24.3 million viewers for the Chiefs-Bears, which was a blowout.
Yeah.
63% jump in female viewers age 18 to 49. The search for the word Chiefs on the web increased by 3 times. 3-time increase in Chiefs sales on StubHub. And the Chiefs sold more tickets in a single day than any day since the start of the season.
I mean, it's absurd. The thing that just baffles me is that the loyalty of her fan base, that they will sit there and watch something for 3 hours that they have no interest in just because she's sitting in a suite and will be shown on camera occasionally.
It's not to say they don't have an interest. They may have an interest in football. There may be Chiefs fans in there. But
there were a lot of Swifties trying to decipher football on Twitter the other day.
I just didn't know that she was that famous until, I mean, obviously do now, but when she broke Ticketmaster, when her Eras Tour tickets went on sale and Ticketmaster, wasn't it Ticketmaster?
Yeah.
It like shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? I mean, I knew she was famous and successful and, I mean, all that stuff, of course, for a long time, and was a country artist and crossed over to, Shake It Off was huge and all that, whatever. I mean, I get it. I know who Taylor Swift is. I mean, I get it. I didn't know she was like the most famous entertainer in the world until she broke Ticketmaster and this tour thing happened and everything melted and now this, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. Good for you, Travis Kelce. I mean, that's great. Good for them. I hope it works out. I think they're going to work out. Do you? I think they're going to work out and get married.
I mean, sure. I mean, why not? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think it was a little weird that she was sitting with his family that early on. I mean, that's...
Where else are you going to go?
I mean, you could find something, right? You're Taylor Swift. You can sit wherever you want in that stadium.
But
they will put you where...
But first of all, we don't know how long they've been talking, dating. So we don't know if that's the first time she met his mom. We don't know that, number one. Number two, I think you would be comfortable enough sitting with... I think it would be more awkward if she were in the stadium and not with his people. Like, would you just set up shop in a suite by yourself and not go meet the dude's mom who you're talking to? I mean, I get that. I get sitting there with Kelsey's mom.
She has to be pretty comfortable, though, because, I mean, she was dropping F-bombs in front of the mom.
See, now I saw that, and when he scored, she did the let's F and go, but I think she said frickin'. If you look at it,
that's just not cool.
If you look at it, and maybe she. By the way, I'm not married to that idea, but if you look at it, I think she might have said frickin'. But either way, don't care. I think it's gonna work out because I think one thing just following them, and I've followed a little bit of their podcast. I think Travis and Jason Kelce, before all the Taylor Swift stuff, I think they're cool. Their podcast is great. Like, let me be honest with you. I've never listened to a full episode, but I see clips on TikTok and things like that. So I think their dynamic is great. They seem like likable guys. I love the dynamic of their family. That's all really cool. Anyway, so it seems like he's genuinely interested in her and not just like fame. He's not looking for like a cosign. But, dude, it's weird, though, bro. You want to talk about you walk around and you're Travis Kelce and people know who you are, but then whenever you're Taylor Swift's boyfriend, it's like a different level of notoriety. Like now the paparazzi is following you.
Yeah.
Everywhere, sort of thing. That's different.
And here's something else, too, like for it to work out. Remember, this all started because he's like a fan, right? I mean, he wanted to give her like the bracelet with his.
Yeah, he went to the show.
So if this doesn't work out, you end up with a song written about you. Does that kind of sour you on her and her music after that?
You know what
is that kind of like never meet your heroes type thing?
You know what I was thinking with that is the Alanis Morissette song "You Ought to Know." That's about Dave Coulier, your Uncle Joey from Full House.
Cut it out.
And years ago when Josh Innes and I did a show together on the Score 1210, which is an old radio station in Baton Rouge, doesn't exist anymore. But we had Dave Coulier on the show. He was doing a comedy show in Baton Rouge. And so we had him on to promote the show and we talked sports, whatever, Full House and all this stuff. And Josh asked him about that song because that song's about him. And when he realized, and he told the story, and I'm paraphrasing it, but it went something like this. Like he had no idea that she had written a song. But he's like, I was listening to the radio one day, and I recognized the voice. I mean, he dated Alanis. He obviously knew it was her voice. So he's like, I recognized it. I was like, oh. And then he started listening to the song, and it became very familiar. And like while he was listening to the song, he realized it was about him.
I mean, that's got to be a really uncomfortable feeling, man.
Oh, man. All right. Well, congrats to Mrs. Taylor Kelce and the future Mrs. Taylor Kelce and their budding romance. But I really do think I'm just thinking out loud. People, for whatever reason, this audience really likes Erica. Like there were a lot of people last Friday that wanted Erica to be the guest picker, and I think Erica, as a Taylor Swift correspondent, if nothing else, people would just like to laugh at the lunacy of that whole situation.
It could work.
All right. Brought to you by DraftKings. Do we have DraftKings odds yet on the Kelce Swift nuptials?
It's a good question.
Why don't you check that out real quick? See if you can get odds on that while I do this read. Brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Only a few days left here in September. Remember, every game day in September, DraftKings has great offers for everyone. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You'll see the offers there at the top of the app. You got to opt in. Great specials so everybody wins. Everybody can play at the DraftKings Sportsbook here in September. If you're a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers make a $5 bet on the NFL. They'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. Been telling you about that. Of course, it's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Again, use the promo code Baton Rouge. We're heading into Week 4 of the NFL. Thursday Night Football is coming up here in Week 4. We're just a couple of days away. You got Lions, Packers, an NFC North battle from Lambeau. You want to bet on that game? It's easy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet on Lions, Packers on Thursday, and they'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, do we have odds?
I found some odds.
Okay.
Yes. Will Swift and Kelce be together still Week 1, 2024?
Oh, that's a yes.
Minus $1.75. Yes. Yeah, it's the favorite right now.
For sure. No doubt.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
She's about to go back on tour again starting in November. The Eras Tour resumes. And then she's going to be on tour because she's coming to New Orleans next October.
Yeah, in October.
So she's going to be on tour. Yeah, they'll be good. They'll do the long distance thing, and they'll figure it out. Yeah, for sure. They won't have enough time together to part their ways. The other thing, too, real quick, we'll get to Otterlocks. Jimmy went 0-1-1 yesterday. Lost with Tampa, pushed with the Rams. So we'll see if we can get back on track tonight, but it'll be a MLB play, no doubt, so he's probably not going to get back on track because for whatever reason he stinks in the MLB now. But we got our bet with Ocho. What should we do here? I need feedback.
Do you just automatically win here? Okay, see, this is the thing with Lauren again from Jacksonville, man. Yeah. It's the same thing. Derek, he was not going to hit those numbers. That's obvious now. Okay, it wasn't happening. I think you win. I do. I think Ocho's got to come here.
I think I win too.
This is a Larry Holder bet. This is everything all over again.
But we didn't stop. You think I would learn my lesson? I need stipulations. We did not stipulate about an injury. So anyway, I tweeted. I included Ocho in the tweet. We'll see what he says. So Derek Carr was not trending anywhere, pacing anywhere near the numbers he was going to need to meet Ocho's numbers. So Ocho was going to have to come here and do a show with me. But Derek Carr's injury, does he get let off the hook? I don't know. We'll see. Ocho seems like a man of integrity. I believe he'll do the right thing. It's after further review. All right, we're going to go quickly. Otter Locks to wrap up next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Y'all, fall has fallen upon us, and I could not be more excited. Football is here. A little bit of a chill in the air. I mean, it's 84 degrees. That's chilly compared to 110, which is what it was like 6 weeks ago. It's time to get by Clegg's Nursery. It's time to get your hands in the dirt. It's time to just plant something. They got beautiful fall bedding plants. You want all those gorgeous fall colors, the earth tones, the oranges and the browns and the dark greens. They got it for you over at Clegg's Nursery. New shipment of those fall decorations coming in this week as well. So pumpkins and hay bales and squash and gourds and scarecrows and corn stalks. You want to decorate your front porch, your back patio, your office, any place, indoors, outdoors. Clegg's has all of the fall decor for you at 4 great locations. For more than 60 years, our friends at Clegg's have been helping our community. And, of course, our partner with True Value Hardware Store. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Now the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, we got 2 minutes. They're all yours. Fire away.
All right. hitting plus 160 right now in game.
Hey, wait, real quick. Sorry, your phone broke up. Please start over. Sorry.
Okay, Kansas City. You hear me now?
Yep, gotcha.
All right, Kansas City in game right now. Did not score in the top of the first, but we got them. They won 10 of 11, and we're looking to take them anywhere from plus 140 to 160. What are you showing right now?
I'm looking at plus 170.
There you go. Even better.
Okay.
So 10 of 11, including just swept the Astros, put them in a really tough spot going to the final week of the season. So plus 170. Zach Greinke on the mound at Detroit. Not a tough opponent there. Also, 620, Justin Steele, Cubs. I was going to finish in the top 5, maybe top 3 in National League Cy Young. They need it. They are right on the edge of qualifying for the playoffs right now, so they're in as of now, but with only one game to spare. Miami does own the tiebreaker, so if they tie, they are out, taking the Cubs. The reason we're going against the Braves now 4 games ahead of the Dodgers in the loss column, with the Dodgers lost in burst of 2 in Colorado today. So Braves just kind of playing out the string here. Elders kind of limping down to the finish line. Steele plus $1.24 at Atlanta.
All right, Kansas City on the money line. This is an in-game, and Cubs on the money line there in the ATL. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
Snow, seafood, and steak.
Awesome.
In Gonzales.
Great spot there, Airline Highway in Gonzales. Get on out and see Otter and Charlie tomorrow for lunch. All right, Otter, we appreciate you, man. Have an awesome night.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, man. Be well. It's after further review. Miss anything AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time, golf.breck.org. Thanks to Maddy Hudak. Thanks to Lee Feinswog. Thanks to Jermon Bushrod, Sean Salisbury. It's been a great show. Muse Pauly, I appreciate y'all. Have an awesome night. We'll be back tomorrow for a Hump Day edition of AFR. Tons more football. We'll see you then. See you. Bye. AFR.
AFR.
It's a radio show that we do. As we get on down the road, I'll remind you about South Point Volkswagen. Honest to goodness, true story. I was bringing Drew to school today. Going down I-10 here in Baton Rouge. I-10 west toward Essen. And coming up behind me on the on-ramp off of Bluebonnet, right behind me, was a Volkswagen ID4, the all-electric ID4. They got them on the lot. So if you've ever thought about an EV, if you want to drive an EV, how about $7,500 bonus right now on an ID4? You can check it out at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. If you want to check out all the different features, if you want to look for the color and all the different amenities, features that the vehicle you're looking for comes with, you can find it. If it's on the lot, it's online at southpointvw.com. And because they move more inventory than anybody else, they can give you the best deals. South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.